get set up. What's up, Jet? How you doing today? You alive and well? Hope everyone's having a great day. Let's get everything set up. I had a great time last night. I thought it was a blast. Yo, yo, yo. Hopefully you guys can hear me, see me, not smell me. What's up, but why? So I guess we're going to dig into some UFO type shit tonight. I had fun too. I got up and went walking too, but I was hurting this morning. I didn't have a hangover. I was tired and dehydrated. All right. Let me do something quick and we'll be right going with it. What's up, Tommy Howe? Salute. So people wanted to look into aliens tonight, so I guess that's what we're going to do. I want to do something different. Oh, it's all good. No worries. All right. Get your head out of your ass, Nate. Crispy, salute. Justin, salute. Justin, how are you this morning? You guys have fun with the troll show? A lot of people think that, but why? We're going to talk about it tonight. I was dehydrated. I was hurting during that walk, but I went and did my walk. I did it. But I was tired today. Yeah, me too, Justin. Some people were bitching at me this morning. I don't think they still understood it. We were trolling them. Unbelievable. I had one person cuss me out in a message. Cussing me out. What you did was slimy. I said, dude, we said we were trolling. It said it in the title of the fucking video. Ding dongs. All right, give me 1 second. Shake off the cobwebs. I know I did, right, Justin? I know I did. I said it several times throughout the podcast, too. I said it a bunch of times. People still didn't get it. People were still fighting with me today. I'm like, oh, my God. Oh. Please like, share, subscribe if you're new. We're going to look into aliens tonight. Some alien stories. You guys believe in aliens? Anyone got an alien story? You think they're the demons from the Bible? There's been a lot of sightings lately by the military, allegedly, by people having seen things in their yards. Something happened in Miami this year at a shopping plaza or mall, allegedly, that got swept under the rug. But we're going to look into this stuff tonight. I want to do something different. I'm just getting sick of doing politics every night. Yeah, illegals. You've seen a lot of unexplainable things. I've seen a lot of unexplainable things as far as like, not as far as aliens, but like ghost type activity, that type of shit. But we're going to look into some videos, some stories tonight on aliens. hopefully most of them, most of the ones I'm going to look into have like news stories. I don't know whether you can, I don't know if you can believe them all, but yeah, I remember you said that your house is haunted. I think I've seen a UFO once, maybe twice, but I'm not 100% sure. But the night I did see one, there's a video out of it on YouTube from a ton of years ago, and it says UFO in Providence, Rhode Island, and it's the same fucking thing I saw. No bullshit. So we're gonna look into one that happened in Arizona, I believe, somewhere out in the desert. We're gonna look that up first. Roman salutation. Did you, Kala? Please like, share, subscribe if you haven't. Skinwalker Ranch is very fascinating. Extremely fascinating. All right, here we go. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's what shadow people are. I wonder that sometimes. We got a fish. Salute. Please like, share, subscribe. This was in Vegas.
Year-old finally talking at length about his experience. And in Vegas, not stay in Vegas. It circled the known universe. The frenzy grew when reports surfaced that unknown authorities had afterwards placed cameras around this family's home. The family had afterwards placed cameras around this family's home. The family was driven into hiding, off the grid, out of sight, underground. But 10 months later, the mystery lives on, and looky-loos and alien hunters are still on the prowl. The family posted no trespassing signs, but break-ins have been reported frequently here, as recently as last week at this home. Tonight, a News Nation exclusive, the teenager who made that 911 call is finally speaking publicly at length and laying out exactly what he saw that night and what has happened since. Our national correspondent, Alex Capriello, joins me with that live from Las Vegas tonight. So, Alex, it's really compelling with the advent of a year passing almost, that they've had a chance to digest what it is they've been through. They have kept quiet. They are not looking for attention. And yet now you're getting information, especially from this 15-year-old or the 17-year-old, that's pretty alarming.
Yeah, and I've found out from speaking to Angel Kenmore that life just really has not been all that easy for the past year since they saw that 10-foot-tall creature in their backyard right here behind me. For him, he says that he's plain and simple traumatized by it all. He says he can't sleep at night. He's become slightly paranoid. He cries at night, trying to make sense, heads or tails, of what exactly he saw that night, playing it back over and over in his head. You can imagine the torment that's going through in his head. But to this day, none of the family has a very good explanation about what exactly they saw that night. But to their credit, they've stayed pretty consistent about the facts and the details. I really grilled him about that, trying to get him to remember as much as he possibly could about that night. Here's a portion of our conversation. What do you remember about that night? What do you remember seeing?
Star dug in, I guess. We were in the backyard fixing a truck, and then out of nowhere we just see a big light fall down and basically crash in the backyard. And moments after, like a couple of seconds after, I saw the big giant creature in front of me. The alien, whatever you guys want to call it. The alien demon, whatever you guys want to call it.
What do you believe it is?
A demon.
A demon?
Yeah.
So maybe that's changed. That once you thought it was an alien, now you believe it was a demon.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what it is, only God knows what it was. But I'm thinking it's like something bad, not a good thing.
Was it moving? Was it doing?
Yes, it was moving. You could see like he was breathing, like he was like pissed off. Like he wanted to do something.
And he was looking at you and your brother?
He was looking at me, yeah.
Did he say anything?
Mm-mm. I remember he was growling like a dog, like he was growling.
When did it end?
As soon as I closed my eyes, I guess. I don't know. I think I was praying or something like that, and they just let me go. That's when I went inside, and I saw my dad. I mean, I saw it too.
It felt like it had a control of your body?
Oh yeah, I couldn't move. Yeah.
There is a weird light.
At the sight of this thing.
Yeah, I couldn't move.
And you were looking at it for 30 or so seconds, and then all of a sudden it was gone.
Yeah. That was pretty creepy.
A lot of people think that that's just hard to believe.
Like I said again, they can think whatever they want.
What do you say to the people who believe that your family just made this whole thing up to try to get attention?
They can believe whatever they want, I'm not doing it for fame. If I did it for fame, I would be on YouTube and stuff like that, doing more videos, but I don't care, guys. I just went on TikTok and YouTube, made my story. That's pretty much it. I made no money off this. I want people to know that. I made no money off this. I don't need money. That's pretty much it. They can believe whatever they want.
I bet you hope it doesn't happen to anybody.
Oh, no, hopefully not, though.
Listen what's coming up.
Really bad experience. Really traumatizing.
I don't think so, Justin.
I don't know what your impression of him was, but when I was speaking to him personally, I was really struck by how confident and authentic he was about his memories of that night. There's a lot of people obviously out there in the world that would make up ghost stories in order to chase any sort of clout or fame. But to me, Angel came across as somebody who truly believed that he saw something that night in that backyard right here behind me.
Yeah, Alex, he didn't really seem to have canned answers either. So if this was all a big ruse, he's either a really, really good actor, I mean, Meryl Streep quality, and, he certainly didn't script it, didn't seem to plan out answers, at the grasp. I do want to ask you about the family. This is the 17-year-old finally talking at length about his experience. And did he ever add some details there that what he saw seemed to be angry and breathing heavily with growling, looking right at his brother and him, and that he felt frozen, which is an account we've heard from other people who have felt that they've seen something out of this world before, that they've been frozen and unable to move. What about the family? Does the family back him?
Yeah, the family does, although they're much less willing to go public about it. I spoke to his mom, who basically said that she has no interest in speaking about it because she just feels differently than Angel. She feels like nobody in the world is going to believe.
This family has not been back to the house. They don't live there. The house keeps getting broken into. And wait till you hear the next minute or two what they say. I believe it's this interview. But there's been paranormal shit happening in that house, allegedly, ever since this happened.
Leave her. Angel, on the other hand, while certainly not trying to publish his case widespread, he feels the need to share it because he wants the world to know what he saw, and also he wants the world to know that his family is doing okay and moving forward. In general, the family wants the spotlight off of them. Take, for example, all these no trespassing signs. There's at least 4 of them. But at this time, they are just basically saying, look, we don't really want to talk about it anymore, but we still stand behind the things that we saw that night.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com.
It was the streak seen across the sky, now seen around the world. This, as our 8 News Now investigators confirm, Metro actually set up cameras at this home where a family called 911 claiming to see aliens. I now seen around the world. This, as our 8 News Now investigators confirm, Metro actually set up cameras at this home where a family called 911 claiming to see aliens in their backyard. And tonight, a fierce debate is underway about the legitimacy of an alleged UFO crash. crash. Good evening. I'm Janice Valdez.
And I'm Brian Loftus. Our 8 News Now investigators reporting about terrified members of a local family who told police they had aliens in their backyard. Chief Investigator George Knapp here to piece it all together.
You know, as with all things UFO, the public debate is ferocious and ongoing. Was it all a hoax? Were we duped? Was it all an evil plot, a cover-up, all of the above? We took another look at the hubbub to separate wheat from chaff. The fireball captured on a police body cam on the night of April 30th was real. The American Meteor Society says witnesses reported seeing it all across the West, from northeastern Utah to Southern California. Another Las Vegas resident sent us a video of the same object recorded on her home camera.
Investigation by Nexstar station KLAS.
As the story of the Las Vegas incident spread across newscasts and social media, one of NASA's planetary defense officers weighed in to say it was likely a small meteor that fell to Earth hundreds of miles away from Las Vegas. Police videos obtained by 8 News Now indicate Metro officers were among the witnesses.
One of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky too, so that's why I'm kind of curious.
The appearance of the meteor seemingly triggered the events that followed. A frightened family called 911 and told police they had 10-foot-tall alien beings in their backyard. Officers responded to the home minutes later, interviewed the witnesses, canvassed the area, and cautiously inspected the backyard to look for intruders. One thing noticed by the officers was a circle in the soil. In conversations with us and in a podcast interview, Angel, the main witness, suggested the circle might have been created when an unknown object landed in the yard. Social media sleuths have since pointed out that the circular image has been viewable via Google Earth for more than a year. The family told us by phone they had seen suspicious vehicles with men in black types checking out their home. Turns out there is substance to that. A retired police officer fessed up on News Nation that he spent days staking out the house to see what, if anything, unfolded. What about those reports that Metro installed a special surveillance camera atop the house, presumably to watch for intruders, human or otherwise, or overzealous media? Turns out that's true as well. Metro confirmed as much in a statement to 8 News Now's David Charnes. The system stayed on the roof for days. What about the Ring camera video with the weird noise? The main witness, Angel, intimated to us the video was recorded by one of his neighbors, and the audio was from the April 30th UFO crash. It wasn't. The security camera video was recorded in mid-April, according to the man who first posted the clip. He doesn't want his name used, but says the recording was from a fireball that passed over his home in the southwestern part of the valley 2 weeks prior to the alleged alien encounter. The family declined to be interviewed by us, but members have spoken elsewhere and stick to their claims of seeing aliens in the backyard. Dozens of people on social media have analyzed and dissected the images with various claims of aliens spotted in the shadows. Police do not believe this was a hoax call, which could be a crime if done intentionally. In the fervid swamp known as UFO world, our coverage of the story was itself seen as a dastardly plot to distract attention away from a prominent whistleblower named David Grush, who stepped forward around the same time. Grush unveiled his explosive on-camera account on News Nation, which is owned by the parent company of KLAS. In spite of the local news story, Grush's story was reported by news media all over the world. Curses foiled again.
All right. So, I mean, what do you make of this whistleblower?
What do you guys think?
Year-old finally talking at length.
Oh, there's one more part I want to show you, because this is important. I feel it's important. I'm gonna show you one more thing.
So what's interesting also, Alex, in the year, almost the year that has passed, is that something else has begun to happen, they say, now inside the home. And they're very afraid of what they have been, they say that they have been witnessing inside their home. Can you describe what it is they're telling you?
Yeah, and I think that's the reason why Angel has pivoted from calling what he saw that night an alien instead, now calling it a demon, because he feels like he's seeing so much paranormal activity and just strange, unexplainable things happening inside of his home. There was two anecdotes, one in particular that we're about to show you that literally made the hairs on my arm stand up just because it is so freaky, so unexplainable. We have a segment of that part of the conversation.
You mentioned paranormal activity. What exactly did you see?
Well, I was in the other room. My brother called me, and there was a upside down cross, and there was a Jesus statue in it. They ripped Jesus out of it, they threw him like across the room, and it was floating upside down.
Are you saying floating in the air?
Yeah, like in the air. It was floating upside down.
What did you do? I mean, did you go and pick it up? Did you knock it down? Like how?
No, I didn't do nothing. I was just sitting there. I was crazy. I was like, what?
But how did it come down? It's not still floating right now, is it?
No, it came down. So we got closer to it and then just dropped.
It fell to the ground. A crucifix.
Yeah.
Floating in the air, upside down. The Jesus on the crucifix had been ripped off.
Yeah.
And it was floating. And you can say definitively, without lies, that is what you saw.
Yes. Swear to God, that's what I saw.
What do you believe that is? How could something like that happen? That's not physically possible in this world. And that's just one story of many stories of paranormal activity that's happened inside this house, according to Angel. He said that the family has had to take some really drastic measures to make themselves feel safe within their home. We're going to talk more about all of that paranormal activity tomorrow night on Banfield.
Crazy shit.
And one last question about just what their house, has become, because, typically people are rabid about stuff like this, and people will come from all corners of not just the country, but the earth to visit places like this. Have they been inundated with tourists and looky-loos and people who are not maybe as kind as they should be when they arrive on the property?
Yeah, you bet. I mean, as you mentioned, this story sparked global attention. So everybody started coming to this house to get a peek at the backyard, hoping to catch a sight of a UFO or an alien or a demon, whatever it was back there. And so that's the reason why you see so many no trespassing signs. If you just look in the distance, you see one on the window, there's one on the garage, on their front door, there's a no trespassing sign, also a concealed carry sign that says that, we will protect our property. So in the end, this has caught a lot of attention, and so much so that they're seeing around 4 or 5 cars almost each and every day, people stopping by, people even jumping over the fence, breaking into their home, trying to do whatever they can to catch a glimpse.
What do you guys think? I think it's crazy shit. I think it's wild. I also find it odd that the family says that they're having demonic type activity in their home. The kid didn't look like he was lying, in my opinion. I don't think he's lying. Project Bluebeam, some people say. Who knows? They could have been here all along. A lot of people that believe in the Bible think aliens are demons from the Bible. You think aliens and ghosts are connected? Very well could be. I think I don't discredit anything these days, especially with the liars we have at the helm. Yeah, I agree, Storm. Please like, share, subscribe. We're going to look at aliens and other paranormal behavior tonight. You think they're fallen angels, Jesus, our Savior? Very well could be. That's why I want to see what people think. What do you guys think? I want to know what people around the world think. User says, bro, this universe is too big for us to be alone. I agree. I agree. And they had something similar to this happen in Miami, allegedly. That's what I'm going to look into now, Brewmaster. Because it sounds similar to the one that happened here. Please like, share, subscribe. We do podcasts on all different things. Live streams, doing investigations on things, looking into things. I'm new at this. I'm sorry I don't have the best equipment. Please like, share, subscribe. Give me your input. Mark Cassidy says he believes it's demons, fallen ones in deep underground military bunkers, lab creations. Mark Cassidy, have you ever heard of Philip Schneider? Philip Schneider's an interesting character. He was unalived in a weird way. He had many attempts on his life. And I might show some video on him later. Some wild shit. Mark King says, I would like to see actual evidence and not just hearsaying or what we believe to be evident or a replica of evidence, but the actual tangible evidence. Yeah, me too, Mark. Join the fucking club, dude. You saw one last night, had ears like an elf. Personal NA says, no matter the beliefs, the processes, the technologies, the books, the writings, the mythicals, the spiritual, a demon is always placed where you find it. There is no demon that acts on its own. You ever imagine? No, can't read that one. Shout out to TJ Fishing. Check him out. You think we're the first aliens? Could be. Musk ain't gonna friggin' colonize enough. That's stupid. And attack Earth. Potentially create, as X says. Possibly. You go, King. Good for you. You keep laying that hammer down. Please like, share, subscribe if you haven't. X says it could be demonic. There's no couch mug, sorry. And we're going to look into the Miami one now. Because it sounds similar. And these are semi-recent. So I figure let's go on something recent and that people claim happened. They said it was debunked, but I don't know. This place had every cop in Miami heading to it that night. Very odd. Very odd. People freaked out in Miami. People were freaked out.
Rumors of aliens invading Miami are going viral on social media.
This is for real, folks. The conspiracy theory stems from a large police presence at Bayside Marketplace on New Year's Day.
Take a good look at your screen. Are those aliens walking in front of Bayside Marketplace in downtown Miami? Online conspiracy theorists are saying that shadowy figure, not far from parked Miami police cars, appears to be an alien.
Honestly, I think it looks pretty real to me. Alien look pretty chill.
I'd be friends with an alien. I think it'd be pretty cool.
The viral video was allegedly taken during that massive police presence at Bayside on New Year's Day. Crowds of young people armed with sticks began fighting. Police say juveniles were also setting off fireworks that some believed was gunfire, resulting in chaos.
There's a big crowd of people running out of Bayside and kind of grouping up outside. And then we hear more commotion, and now they're all just running through the streets, running between cars, almost getting hit by cars. It was like absolute chaos.
Now, rumors are circulating on social media saying police weren't there to handle a group of rowdy teens, but rather 8 to 10 feet tall shadow aliens.
But the real question is, are they friendly? Are they after us? Are they going to attack us? Are they going to do world domination on us? Who knows, man?
The phrases Miami Mall and aliens in Miami have been among the top 10 searches on Twitter's trending tab. And Google News even has several reports questioning the event. Miami police saying in part, there were no aliens, UFOs, or ETs. No airports were closed. No power outages. The statement ended with a facepalm emoji.
Now, to read up on the story, and a lot of people are interested in the story because it's gone viral. Check it out for yourself. Go to our website, CBS Miami.
This was a big deal when this happened. I don't know what to think. Let's see what Barack says.
What does former President Barack Obama know about UFOs?
When it comes to aliens, there's some things I just can't tell you on air.
He was asked about the UFO frenzy in the wake of that explosive 60-minute story on Navy pilots who've seen things they just can't explain.
It's rotating. My God. We're going against the wind. I don't think, dude.
Obama revealed to James Corden he was eager to find out about real close encounters when he became president.
Truth is that when I came into office, I asked, right? I was like, all right, is there the lab somewhere where we're keeping the alien specimens in spaceship? They did a little bit of research, and the answer was no.
But that doesn't mean we're alone in the universe.
There's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are.
And now that UFOs are being taken more seriously, more people are coming forward with their own sightings. Shaquille O'Neal told Jimmy Kimmel he's certain he's seen a UFO.
With all the lights, and it was spinning, and it just and took off, and everything happened in less than 5 seconds, and we all looked at each other, was like, and I know that it was a UFO. I don't care what anybody says.
You never told anybody about that?
Nope, you're the first person I told, because I don't want people to think I'm crazy. But
Right. Hello, and thank you for joining this edition of Reality Check. Now, let's have a think about what we all fantasize about. Extraordinary admission that made everybody sit up and take notice. Under questioning from...
Barack says no. A lot of people think that Miami one might have been a hoax. Please like, share, subscribe if you haven't. We're looking into UFOs tonight. But there's UAVs, I believe they're called, or UAPs. There's underwater craft. Who knows? They might have been here long before us. That's another thing I wonder. You know? Look at the ocean. We've never explored the ocean. We don't know shit about what's going on down in the bottom of the ocean. They could be from Earth and we don't know it. UAP USO, thank you, Raymond. Steven, salute. Yeah, well, it's all part of it, Mark. It's all part of it, Mark. Mark, if you're so great, why don't you do your own show? What's up, 1M? There's a huge AI facility in the Bermuda Triangle. Abyss was a good movie. Frankie, salute. There's a lot of research we could look into. There's so many rabbit holes you could dive down. Hello, Trifenia. I want to look at some of the shit that's been on the news. Please like, share, subscribe.
Tonight in the future of everything.
Please let us know in the chat what you guys think about alien life and UFOs.
By now, if you see this video, you know exactly what people are going to start talking about, UFOs, and that is what this new book is all about. Imminent, inside the Pentagon's hunt for UFOs. But what you might not know is the guy who wrote this book is actually the guy behind those videos being declassified and released for the world to see. Lou Elizondo is a former high-ranking DoD insider who was so frustrated with what he says or attempts to cover up information about UFOs that he was the one who was working behind the scenes to get those images to the public public in 2017. And in this new book, he's got stories that will make those videos look like nothing. And Lou Elizondo joins us now. Lou, thank you so much for being with us. You and I have been talking about this for years, and I got to say, our audience is pretty far ahead of the curve, so we can jump straight in. But there is a lot in this book that like immediately raised my eyebrows. Like, you never told me that you were trained as a remote viewer. That's like men who stare at goat-style, psychically trained spy stuff, right?
Well, you know, it certainly seems that way, but in reality, the U.S. government has a long history and affinity with basically any type of capability to spy or get the advantage on our adversaries. And remote viewing was actually started by one of my colleagues, Dr. Hal Puthoff, back in the late 60s and early 70s, using at the time, Stanford University with the CIA to actually create a psychic espionage program called the Stargate. Had other names as well before, but Stargate is perhaps the most famous name of that program.
And Luke, Stargate got shut down, and yet in your book you say that other countries are probably still using some of these psychic abilities, I guess for a lack of a better word there, and some of our trained soldiers, including you, were also are possibly using them. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, let's face it. Even today in law enforcement, I know it sounds kind of kooky, but psychics have been used to a great deal of success. I think the rub here is that when people say, you know, psychic espionage and whatnot, they think of the woo factor. But in reality, a lot of scientists now believe that capability is really part of the human consciousness, the brain aspect, which is maybe tied to quantum mechanics and frankly, quantum entanglement. So we may not be talking about really anything science fiction, but really just advanced science fact.
I don't want to eat into the time on UFOs because that's also possibly the biggest existential question ever. In your book, you say you could write a book about remote viewing. So we're going to circle back. We'll have you on just to talk about all that. But let's just jump straight into some of the biggest things that stuck out from this book. You say one of the first conversations you had with Hal.
Stephen, you think so? Maybe. But the thing about that, Stephen, is remote viewing's a real thing. You can go to school for it. You can learn it. And allegedly, he's a remote viewer. I don't know how true it is or not, but I've researched remote viewing quite a bit, and I think that shit's real. Lou Elizondo, do I think he's real or not? I don't know, but I know he's been speaking out about it for a long time.
You were told that Roswell was real and it was covered up, and there were 4 non-human bodies recovered from that crash. So if that happened, where are the bodies? Where is the craft? And how many more bodies and crafts do you think the government has?
Yeah, that's a great question. So the bodies were taken initially to a military installation, and from there, it gets a little murky. A lot of people don't know that there are actually 2 crashes initially in 2 events that occurred in Roswell. And to put this on a very quick backdrop, Roswell is where we located our B-29 bombers that were specifically outfitted right after we dropped the bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki to carry an atom bomb. And it was one of the only air bases, frankly, in the world at the time where these aircraft were stationed. And we know that UAP have had an affinity both to our nuclear capabilities and our military capabilities.
I'm from New Mexico, so I grew up with this lore. And in your book, you kind of talk about the possibility that, maybe these crashes were happening in New Mexico because of the beginning of the dawn of the nuclear age and EMP pulses, and maybe that messed with the craft. Is that right?
Yeah, so the current theory is that we were testing a particular device out there, and it happened to interfere with the propulsion units of these UAP. And again, I know it sounds crazy, but it appears that is exactly what happened. And the U.S. government, as a result, was able to recover one of these vehicles. And
I'm going to look into Phil Schneider in a minute. Phil Schneider is the one guy I believe.
What David Grush testified to in front of Congress. Everybody was watching that. But then
I was talking
at the same place
I was talking about Phil Schneider earlier. Phil Schneider is the one guy I believe. Phil Schneider, I'm going to show you guys some of the documentary on him and how many times they tried to unalive him. I believe Phil Schneider. I'm glad you brought that up, Stephen. I brought it up a few minutes ago. I called him Philip because I'm having trouble with my pronunciation without my teeth in my awful Boston accent. But we're going to look into Phil Schneider in a minute. He's the one person I believe the most. And unfortunately, he's not here to speak on it. And his story's the wildest. The most wild story I've ever heard.
Under the same circumstances, saying that's a real thing. And by the way, it can outperform anything we have in our inventory.
And Lou, I got to say, if I was a government
I agree, Jet.
spy that had possible psychic abilities and was able to remote view, and I was looking into all this stuff, like one of the first things I would probably do, especially even if I left the government, was to sit down, use whatever abilities I had to remote view myself into a UFO. Have you done that?
No, and frankly, I never said I was a good remote viewer. I was taught early on some techniques by one of the top Army's remote viewers. Wonderful gentleman, very, very gifted. Sadly, I was not that gifted, but it turns out that a lot of people have that capability. And it's really, I think, once you talk to some of the scientists, you realize it's not paranormal like people suggest it is. It's probably just some sort of latent capability that humans have had for a very long time before we really were able to verbalize communication with one another, and it became very sophisticated. Dogs, for example, when they come across and they see each other, there's some sort of nonverbal communication, and some scientists are speculating maybe that's a form of, we call it psychic, but in reality, it's just a normal part of human interactions, and a lot of people can do it.
Lou, we didn't even get into the orbs that have been harassing you and your family. I mean, there's so much other stuff in this book. So I hope you'll be back on the show. We really do want to delve as deeply into this as we possibly can.
So I don't know about Lou Elizondo, but I'm just trying to build some stuff, show you guys some things. You guys are welcome for your opinions, but I want to look at some different stuff. That's the point of this show. Weed out the bullshit. Find some new shit. Find some true shit. That's what we do here at Nate's Live Talk. We do pretty much a live stream, live podcast. It's interactive. I hope you guys are enjoying it. Please like, share, subscribe. I try to do one every day. And I wanted to do something different tonight because I'm tired of politics. I didn't want to talk politics tonight. I'm a little burnt out with the politics. Well, we're going to look into Phil Schneider now. Phil Schneider is my GOAT. Phil Schneider, to me, and the way he was unalived, I tend to believe. He knows about this place called Dulce. Some freaky shit. Supposedly he was hurt in a battle with aliens. And I think he said they're interdimensional as well. I can't remember exactly, but I agree, pressed on pans. Have you, Richard? Yeah, that's what I'm saying, Steven. Steven knows what's up. Phil Schneider, to me, is the real deal. Unfortunately, he's no longer with us. I had the videos put aside. Where the fuck are they? Bear with me. I had the video saved and now it's gone. This has been happening a lot lately. A lot. And it's starting to aggravate the fuck out of me. Bear with me. Salute, De La, Frankie. You think it's all fake, Brad? Why do you think it's all fake?
Hey, buddy. My name's Gregory, and welcome around to Dulce.
Finally, I found it. Thank you, Jesus. The volume's not the greatest. We'll try it. This is Phil Schneider speaking on it.
Some rather horrendous designs and mechanizations of our federal government structure that I feel directly imperiled not to tell anybody about, so that's why I'm here telling it. In doing so, I'm breaking my security oaths. I am also guilty of breaking major federal law. How long I'll be able to do this, anybody's guess. However, I would like to mention this talk is going to be broken up into 4 main topics. And each of these topics will have some bearing on what you people are involved in, you patriot people, or even some of you people that aren't patriots that may be leaning in that way or considering it.
Can you guys hear it? Let me know if you can hear it. If you can't, I'll try and find something else.
I want you to know these United States are a beautiful place. I've traveled in over 70 countries, and I cannot remember any country that has the beauty as well as the magnificence of its people like these United States. Give you an overview of basically what I am. I started off through engineering school, which half of my schooling was in the field. I built up a reputation for being a geological engineer as well as a structural engineer with both military and aerospace applications. I have helped build 2 main concern bases within these United States that have some significance as far as what is it called the New World Order. Number 1 is Dulce, New Mexico. I was involved in 1979 in a horrendous firefight with alien human type, whatever you want to call them. And I was one of the survivors. I'm probably the only talking survivor you'll ever hear. 2 other survivors are under close guard somewhere in these United States. One is not in very good shape. He's been living in Canada. So I'm about the only one around that knows the firefight, that knows all the detailed files of the entire operation. 66 Secret Service agents, FBI and the like, Black Berets died in that firefight. I was there.
Why would he lie about it?
Part of what I'm going to tell you is going to be very shocking. Part of what I'm going to tell you is probably going to be very unbelievable. So if instead of putting on your glasses, I'll ask you to put your skepticals on rather than your spectacles. But please feel free to do your own homework. I know the Freedom of Information Act isn't much to go on, but unfortunately it's basically the best we've got. Your local law library and your nearest law university is a good place to look for congressional records. So if one continues to do their homework, one can be standing vigilant in regards to their country. I love the country that I'm living in more than I love my life. I would not be standing before you right now risking my life by telling you these things if I didn't believe it so.
Time out. Skibbity, I know you're probably young, and I hate to call you stupid, but back in the day, this is what videos look like. This was like a good video when I was a kid. So don't be a fucking douchebag. Sit back and watch the video and be a good little bitch. Or shut the fuck up. This is an old video of a man that was unalive speaking alleged truth. So sit back, enjoy your popcorn, and shut the fuck up.
The first part of this talk is going to concern deep underground military bases and the black budget. Let me first start by emphasizing the black budget. The black budget is a secretive group. Basically,
that's why kids act like that, because their parents don't tell them like my mom would tell them. If my mom ever said that shit, I ever said that shit to my mom or my dad especially, my dad would be like, you know what, motherfucker, we're going home. Or he'd be like, you know what, motherfucker, go to bed. Fucking ding-dongs. That's why these little assholes act the way they do. Oh, what's wrong with the video? You think videos were always great? Fucking ding-dong.
the secret budget. It garners 1/4 of the gross national product, the entire gross national product of these United States. Present, the gross national product is around $5 trillion. So 1/4 of that's about $1.25 trillion per year. At least 1.023 trillion.
Big fucking deal.
At least, is used in black budget programs like deep underground military bases. Presently, there are 129 deep underground military bases in these United States. Is this our? No, this one doesn't work. This one too tall. Anyway, these 129 bases, they've been building them day and night unceasingly since the 40s. Some of them were built even earlier than that.
Well, you do now.
Comprise These bases comprise basically of large cities underground. They're connected by high-speed monorail magneto-leviton trains that can go up to Mach 2. Books have been written, several books recently have been written about this activity, all of which is verifiable through bibliography. I think Al Bielek will, unfortunately, Al Bielek has my only copy. Is Al Bielek here, by the way? Al Bielek? Yes, please do. Richard Sauder's book, he's a PhD architect, and he alone also is risking his life by talking about this. He worked with a number of government agencies on deep underground military bases. Okay, there are 129 of these in these United States. In and around where you live, in Idaho, there are 11 of them. It's a very large number. The average depth of each base is roughly a mile deep. They are basic full cities hauled out underground. They're somewhere between 2 and 2/3 cubic miles and 4 and a quarter cubic miles hauled out underground. You might ask how this is done. Well, right now they have laser drilling machines that can drill a tunnel 7 miles in one day. Obviously, we can publish that. Unfortunately, I don't believe these things. The black projects, as we know them, sidestep Congress, which is illegal. Right now.
Man, this is horrible quality. I'm sorry.
Now the New World Order is depending upon these bases, and if I'd known it was the New World Order involved, I wouldn't have had anything to do with them. I would lie to rather extensively. Basically, the technology as we know it for every calendar year that goes by, every 12-month calendar year, the military technology increases about 44 and a half years. This is why it also gave me
I gotta find something better quality for you guys. I can't listen to that shit. I'm not gonna make you guys either. We're gonna find something good about him. Or tell his story. You can look up that video, put in Phil Schneider part 1, part 2. You can watch it on your own. I'm not gonna keep listening to that shit. But we will look into his shit more. Yeah, George Norrie and Art Bell knew it too. Art Bell's my favorite. Please like, share, subscribe if you haven't.
It has to be somebody doing it. In an interview from 2011, he claimed to have found evidence.
Art Bell was the best. Unfortunately, that video I wanted to show you guys is not a very good video. But listen to it on your own. It's a wild fucking video. Phil Schneider, I believe, lost his life because of that. There's not much out about him. Like, I'm trying to find his story in other places, and you can't find it. And if there wasn't nothing to hide, why would it be so hard to find his story? That's what I want to know.
We're in Dulce, New Mexico, about 200 miles away from Albuquerque. Our goal is to locate a secret underground base where the government reportedly has been housing aliens and carrying out strange experiments. My name's Ken Storage.
Yeah, there's not much, Steven. I'm looking like a bastard. But we can look into the base he worked at. Even when you research Dulce, there's not much.
Today's episode of the Y-Files is brought to you by... Korea has the largest number of UFO sightings per capita in the world.
If not hostile.
For Dulce. Though there's never been... Korea has the largest... number of UFO sightings per capita in the world. The stories of strange lights and objects in the sky go back as far as the first people to a cow for about 600 feet. Valdez was able to see where the cow had struggled before this happened. Valdez knew this was a little outside of his lane, so he contacted Dr. Howard Burgess of Sandia National Labs. Dr. Burgess arrived 72 hours later to assist. Though 3 days had passed, the cow wasn't decomposing.
I agree, Peppermint. Please like, share, subscribe. This is about the base Phil worked at. But supposedly Phil went underground and got into a war with aliens.
And predators and scavengers wouldn't go near it. And at some point during those 3 days, one of the cow's ears was removed. Over the following months, 17 animals would be killed this way. All were missing their lymph nodes. All were missing multiple organs. And
why are they missing their lymph nodes, these cattle? And organs. But to go after lymph nodes is weird.
All taken surgically. All the animals were drained of blood. And the little blood that remained wouldn't clot, not even after several days. Soon, investigators started to become sick. 7 people who visited the ranch complained about headaches and nausea. This gave Dr. Burgess the idea to test radiation levels in the area, and radiation was twice what it should be. And during this time, investigators working at night saw orange lights moving silently in the sky. Investigators working during the day saw black helicopters circling overhead. Valdez wondered if this was more than a local phenomenon. He looked for cases of animal mutilation in the surrounding areas, and over the course of a few years, an estimated 8,000 animal mutilations were reported. Now, I was able to find the official FBI report on this, which I'll link below. And despite everything I've told you about the condition of these animals, the FBI said, quote, "It was consistent with predator action, and there is no federal interest in continuing an investigation."
The only predator that can do this is the predator.
What predator is that?
Oh, you know, from the movies, with the face like a scoongeel.
Funny you bring that up. Where was that predator from?
Another planet?
Well...
Oh, if it bleeds, we can kill it!
Paul Benowitz was born in 1927, and when World War II broke out, he joined the Coast Guard as a teenager. He had a master's degree in physics and was pursuing his PhD when he opened an electronics company in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Paul Benowitz's primary clients were the Air Force and NASA. He did so much business with the Air Force that he actually bought a home and established a lab right next to Kirtland Air Force Base. And we have an entire episode that covers him and how he was misled and abused by the United States government. Link below. Kirtland Air Force Base is a massive complex spanning over 80 square miles. Over 20,000 people work on the base. Kirtland also happens to be the largest storage facility for nuclear weapons in the Western Hemisphere. On the grounds are the Manzano Mountains, and under the Manzanos are 80 underground bunkers, including a presidential emergency shelter. Connecting the bunkers are over 40 separate tunnels, though nobody knows for sure how many. The people who built the facility were not allowed to tell anyone about what they were working on. Paul Benowitz was a gifted engineer and was interested in UFOs. From Paul's second-floor balcony, he observed and filmed strange lights in the sky. He also...
If you have anything Anunnaki, you can email me at NatesLiveTalk@yahoo.com.
recorded radio transmissions that seemed to be alien in origin. Paul occasionally worked for several UFO groups, including the Aerial Phenomena Research Organization, known as APRO. And even though UFO research wasn't yet mainstream, APRO was a respected organization known for scientifically grounded research. In 1979, Paul attended a conference in Albuquerque where he met Officer Gabe Valdez. They traded stories about cattle mutilations, alien abductions, and UFO sightings that were happening in the area. Gabe Valdez and Paul Benowitz struck up a friendship. Valdez was basically the go-to cop for any strange phenomenon in the area, and Paul was compiling more and more data that aliens were real, were here, and were very interested in Kirtland Air Force Base. In 1980, Valdez caught the Myrna Hansen case and asked Paul Benowitz for help. Myrna Hansen claimed to have had a terrifying experience. When she was driving to her home in Eagles Nest, New Mexico, both she and her son saw two UFOs over a field. They left the car running and got out to take a closer look. They saw a cow grazing in the field get lifted into one of the UFOs by a beam of light. The next thing she knew, Myrna and her son were back in the car, the engine off, and hours had passed. And what happened during those hours, she had trouble remembering. And what she did remember, she had trouble discussing. So Gabe and Paul brought in a psychology professor to place Myrna under hypnosis to see if she could access these suppressed memories. The hypnosis session began, and based on what Myrna Hansen remembered, she had every reason to be terrified. Myrna Hansen remembered that as she was driving and saw very bright lights in the sky, she and her son got out of the car to see what they were. The lights were coming from a floating craft and were affecting a herd of cattle. One cow seemed to be struggling and panicking as it was levitated up into one of the objects. Then she remembered that she was abducted and given a thorough and very violating physical examination. And though her abductors never spoke, she recalls hearing them in her mind. They said she was taken by accident, but now that she was here, they had no choice but to continue with the procedure. She described their appearance as what we now call a gray alien. She also reported being taken to an underground base, and there she saw body parts floating in vats of bubbling liquid, and she remembered a terrible smell. The alien abduction stories are unfortunately fairly common now, but in 1980, this was very unusual. Then Myrna remembered something really disturbing, something that could be confirmed. She said a device was surgically implanted into her body. And she believed this was so the aliens could track her and control her mind. Now, this could be checked. Myrna was taken to the nearby Lovelace Medical Center and x-rayed. At the base of her skull, right where she said it would be, was the implant.
Wow.
Myrna also had a very faint scar on the back of her neck. Now, to be fair, the doctors thought it was a natural growth, though they didn't know what kind. The doctors might not have been convinced, but Myrna Hansen, Gabe Valdez, and Paul Benowitz were. There was an alien presence focused on the Kirtland Air Force Base and on the town of Dulce not far away. Now remember, Paul Benowitz was reporting everything he saw to the Air Force. Richard Doty, an agent working for the Air Force Office of Special Investigation, or OSI, was assigned to Paul's case. And Doty and Paul spent so much time together that they became personal friends. Paul showed Richard Doty sketches that Myrna Hansen made of what she saw while she was abducted. She drew hallways, elevators, rooms, and laboratories. Then Doty confirmed that her drawings matched the Manzano weapons storage complex, which was an underground facility. And over the next 20 years, more and more information would emerge that confirmed not only are aliens on Earth, but they're also working with the United States government. But when did this partnership begin? And why would the government be working with aliens, and for what goal? Well, in 1995, we would get our answer when Phil Schneider, an engineer who helped build Dulce Base, blew the whistle. And it's darker than you could possibly imagine.
Here we go. Yeah, baby.
In 2021, the Pentagon budget was $750 billion. And since 1996, the American military has received
Send them to me,
$8.5 trillion
Anunnaki.
in taxpayer dollars, and never has had to account for any of it. In 2016, an investigation discovered that the Pentagon was covering up $125 billion in so-called wasted dollars. Now, if the military budget comes up short in a given year, whatever number that is just written in. It's called a plug, and then boom, balanced budget.
You try that with your taxes and works out for you.
But they throw you in jail. But there's evidence that the money is not being wasted. It's actually part of the Pentagon's black budget. In 1995, at the Preparedness Expo, Phil Schneider blew the whistle on one of the most secret black budget programs in history.
On the southwest part of the Archuleta Mesa, we built an underground facility, a better part of 3 cubic miles, all about underground. We were in the process of the early stages of building. We drilled 4 large tunnel-like holes. Some of them ran 2.5 miles under the surface. The equipment kept coming up broken. So we wanted to go down and wanted to send somebody down there, a human observer, or human observers in this case, to find out what was going on.
In 1979, Schneider was working for Morrison Knudsen on a geology team, digging exploratory shafts for a new underground base in Dulce. And though working with heavy-duty equipment, the drills kept breaking. Once the drill punched through, Phil described black sooty air billowing up through the opening, and the air smelled like rotten garbage. Phil put on a protective suit and headed down the lift to investigate. And on the way, walking through camp, he noticed there were an awful lot of armed troops.
When I saw Green Beret and Black Beret people encamped inside of our geologist camp, I knew something was up.
When Phil reached the bottom, he was face to face with a 7-foot-tall gray alien. He said its stench was worse than anything he'd ever smelled before. Then another alien appeared. Phil panicked, grabbed his pistol, and started firing. And he managed to kill one of the aliens, but the other started firing back. Phil was hit with what he called a plasma weapon and lost 2 fingers and part of his left hand. And this plasma weapon also gave him cancer.
Never bring a gun to a plasma fight.
That's good advice. Now, Phil thought he was dead when suddenly a Green Beret who had followed him down grabbed him and put him on the lift. Now, Phil made it, but nobody else did. 66 men lost their lives in what was called the Battle of Dulce Base. The American military had accidentally drilled into an alien base that had been there for 400 or 500 years. So now the military had a choice to make: go to war with the aliens or cooperate with them. Now, winning a war against entities with such advanced technology wasn't possible. So a deal was struck. Aliens would give advanced technology to humans.
Now, what did the humans have to give to the aliens?
Well, humans would have to give the aliens other humans.
There you go. Someone just said it. Peppermint, you just said it.
Our United States government lied to not tell us anything about the alien threat. There's a war underneath there
and I'm talking dead serious.
Phil Schneider was an outspoken advocate for government transparency about the alien presence on Earth. He became well known on the UFO lecture circuit, giving talks about his time working on top secret government projects. He's most known for his talk at the 1995 Preparedness Expo, where he revealed all kinds of information. As of 1995, there were 131 active secret underground bases in the United States and 1,477 around the world. All the bases in the United States are connected by magnetic levitation trains
Look at how they
that carry
connect.
speeds of Mach 2. Phil said that there are 7 benevolent alien species currently living on Earth and 4 evil species. He said that the U.S. government signed 4 treaties with the aliens in 1944, in 1954, 1962, and the last one in 1979 after the Dulce battle. The treaty signed in 1954, called the Greada Treaty, was signed between the U.S. government and a species of gray aliens. And the treaty says aliens would be allowed to abduct and experiment on humans as long as the U.S. government, specifically the committee known as Majestic 12, was informed and provided a list of abductees.
Oh, the government sure does like making lists of people, huh?
It sure does.
Why are there so many abductions? Don't aliens know how boring humans are?
Well, according to Phil Schneider, at least 9 races of aliens view humans as a food source.
It's a cookbook.
It's a cookbook.
Classic Twilight Zone episode. But the aliens don't consume human flesh. Instead, they use the secretions of glands from mammals. This species of alien suffers from a genetic disorder, and the enzymes in mammal hormones keep the aliens healthy. And some alien races use human adrenaline as a recreational intoxicant.
Ugh, they get high from human secretions?
They do.
Yeah, that's a hard pass for me.
Me too. Now, in exchange for access to humans for experimentation, the aliens would provide the United States with advanced technology. According to Phil Schneider, military technology is 1,200 years ahead of what civilians have now. Stealth technology came from aliens. The U.S. government now has the ability to create special metal alloys, but they can only be created in the vacuum of space. The U.S. military has a device that causes earthquakes. The 1989 San Francisco earthquake and the 1995 Kobe earthquake were weapons tests.
Seiko to score, and he fails to get Dave Parker at second base, so the Oakland A's take...
I remember this. I was 5 years old when this happened. I remember this.
But Phil Schneider makes all kinds of other claims. He said the bombings of the World Trade Center in 1993 and the Oklahoma City bombing of 1995 were done with miniature nuclear devices provided by the aliens. He said AIDS and other viruses were created as a means of controlling the population.
All right, hold on. I gotta stop you there.
What?
You expect me to believe that a government would artificially create a dangerous virus in a lab? My friend, that is a bridge too far.
Sarcasm?
Yes, of course it's sarcasm.
Phil Schneider believed that all this was happening for one purpose, to establish a new world order. The alien plan is to completely take over the planet and eliminate almost 90% of the world's population.
Ooh, this is the kind of talk that makes the men in black come a knocking.
That's true. And Phil Schneider said he was under constant surveillance by the government. He even claimed he was attacked by an FBI agent and killed the agent in self-defense. And he reported this to the FBI, but nothing came of it.
No, because the government would have to admit to all this stuff.
That's right. Phil was constantly in fear for his life. He said he had 11 close friends all die under mysterious circumstances, but every death was ruled suicide. In fact, Phil Schneider told his friends and family over and over, if I ever end up dead, I didn't kill myself. It was murder. He was adamant about this.
Yeah, I can't help notice that you keep speaking about this guy in the past tense.
Well, in January 1996, just 4 months after he gave his famous lecture, Phil Schneider was found dead in his apartment.
Now, come on.
Apparently, he had taken his own life.
Oh, come on.
There's a good chance that when I fly back to Reno, to Vegas, I have to drive home. I left my car down in Vegas. I have to drive home alone. I'm scared to hell.
Phil Schneider was constantly worried. He told his family that if he was ever found dead, to not believe the story, that it was murder. A few weeks after that, Phil Schneider was found dead in his apartment. At first, his death was ruled unknown, even though he had a medical tube wrapped around his neck. And a lot of details about his death don't add up. First, there was no note. Also, he had enough pills on hand to die painlessly. He also had a gun. The medical tube was wrapped around his throat 3 times and then tied in a knot under his chin. Now, strangling yourself this way seems difficult, especially in Phil's case. He was missing half of his left hand. His shoulders had limited motion. He had brittle bone syndrome from cancer and spent a lot of time in a wheelchair. He was a weak and frail man. The medical examiner, for some reason, refused to visit the scene, though he was legally required to. He did take blood and urine samples, but refused to test them because he said it was a waste of time. And when Phil's family inquired about those samples, they were told they were sent to an independent lab and were missing. When Phil's ex-wife Cynthia went to collect his belongings, everything was gone. Recordings of Phil's lectures, photographs, research, physical evidence from Dulce Base. It was all missing. And then something very strange happened. An obituary appeared in the local paper saying Phil died of a stroke. Phil's family didn't write that obituary.
Wow.
So who did?
Very strange.
Any senator, House of Representative, person, President of the United States, Vice President, any cabinet member lying to the American public is a traitor and should be dealt with in an appropriate fashion.
Phil Schneider wasn't the only person who claimed to know about Dulce Base. Thomas Castello was a military photographer with top-secret clearance, and he specialized in photographing sensitive projects. Castello worked at an underground facility near Nellis Air Force Base in Nevada, most likely Area 51. He also worked at Dulce Base. In 1987, Castello turned whistleblower, and before he left Dulce Base, he stole a set of documents that were eventually called the Dulce Papers. He also stole 30 black and white photos as well as videotape.
There are several things you should know about. I took an oath under penalty of death that no matter what I saw or heard, I would never divulge the information. At the Dulce Base, treason is anything that mentions the details of daily operations at this facility when outside the confinement of this base. When I first arrived, the story they told us was that this is a tri-biotransfer facility with advanced technology doing advanced, adventurous methodology for medical and mental gains, which is a fancy way of saying they do really risky things with human life just to see what would happen.
This is the most famous Castello photograph, humans in pods.
What the hell's going on here?
Well, you know how aliens harvest human hormones for various purposes?
I'm trying to forget it, but yeah.
Well, these are cloning vats. Much easier to use humans as a food source when you could just grow them in a tube. And Castello was the first person to show us the different floors of Dulce Base and what they were used for. Level 1 is security and communications. Level 2 is human staff and housing.
Wait a minute. If there's a floor labeled human staff, then that means...
There is housing for non-human staff.
No!
Level 3 is executive offices and labs. Level 4 is mind control experiments. Level 5 is alien housing. Level 6 is genetic experiments and the zoo.
What, the zoo?
Oh, yeah. When genetic splicing between humans and aliens was successful, they would often put the hybrid creature on display.
Oh, boy.
And level 7 is cryogenics and cold storage. Yeah?
This story, this is a lot.
Oh, have you had too much?
Oh, wait, there's more?
Oh, much more.
Alien agenda is the complete takeover of this planet, the killing off of 5, 6 to 7 eighths of the world's population by the year 2029. U.S. military has known about this for 45 years. They've told no one.
Most of the information we get from Castello comes from a single interview he gave called the Branton interview, and I'll link the full text below. Apparently there were, or are, over 180,000 aliens working in the facility. Castello gives us details about how the base is administered, and there are many different races that work there, and they're divided into ruling castes and worker castes.
Well, obviously humans are workers.
Obviously. But there are also alien worker castes, and ultimately all races report to a single ruling class called the Draco.
That sounds like...
Lizard people.
Lizard people? Yes! Hey, speaking of lizard people, now is a great time to pick up a Hecklefish Lizard People mug. It makes a great gift.
What are you doing?
What? Someone's got to do the plugs? Go to shop.thewhitefiles.com and grab your lizard people mug today.
Funny shit.
The Draco.
Lizard people.
The lizard people are not alien. They evolved from reptiles and dinosaurs and have remained hidden. They created the underground tunnel system hundreds or thousands of years ago. In the 1960s, they were made to be more suitable to humans and other races that the Draco created.
Created?
Oh, yeah. The Draco created races for labor.
The worker caste does the daily chores, mopping away Texas floors, cleaning the cages, bringing food to the hungry people and other species. It is their job to formulate the proper mixture for the Type 1 and Type 2 beings that the Draco race has created. The working caste work at the labs as well as at the computer banks. Basically speaking, the reptilian races are active at all levels of the Dulce Base. There are several different races of aliens that work on the east section of level 6.
Crazy.
Thomas Castello lived the rest of his life in hiding in Europe. He's since passed away, but if you're interested in hearing more from him, I'll post a link to a message board where he answers a lot more questions. And I just scratched the surface here. His interview is the rabbitest of rabbit holes.
Rabbitist?
Shut up.
Oy vey.
Evidence. Aliens are trying to regenerate their own race at our expense. He said they suffered a nuclear holocaust or severe illness that caused their entire race to weaken. This is why,
allegedly,
according to John Lear, aliens are attempting to crossbreed with humans. In fact, he said this was successfully done 7 times over several years. Lear discusses the book Intruders by Bud Hopkins. Hopkins spent years studying abduction cases and was one of the first to reveal that human females were being used to gestate alien or alien-human hybrid children. This was information Hopkins learned through interviewing and hypnotizing hundreds of abductees. Now, obviously, John Lear didn't subscribe to the theory that aliens are here to protect us from nuclear war or help us in any way. Aliens are here to use us as livestock, as breeding chambers, and as subjects of horrible experiments. And what's even more frightening is the United States government is complicit in all of this. John Lear ended his document by saying, "The best advice I can give you is, next time you see a flying saucer and are awed by its obvious display of technology, run like hell."
So that's a little bit about Phil Schneider. I'm glad that brought it up. I think Phil Schneider's the real deal. Please like, share, subscribe if you haven't. We're going to keep digging into more alien shit tonight. The poll question tonight, do you believe in alien life? 69% say yes, 31% say no. Thank you guys for taking our poll. Please like, share, subscribe. We go down rabbit holes all the time. We do sports talk, political talk. We do a troll show on Friday nights from now on. That's going to be a lot of fun. I hope everyone enjoyed it last night. I watched a lot on Skinwalker Ranch. I'm not going to look into all this shit at once. Skinwalker Ranch is very, very strange place. No doubt about it. Skinwalker Ranch, I've watched a lot on. I've read a few books on it. But I don't think we're alone. The more I research aliens, I've researched them a lot. I'm starting to think they're demonic. I'm starting to think there's something demonic to it. Because I've read a lot of stories and I've seen a lot of documentaries on people that say the name of Christ. And when you say Jesus around them, a lot of people say they disappear. I'll look into it eventually. Maybe we'll check it out tonight. I want to show another interview if I can find it. I'm starting to think they might be demonic. I really am. Because the more stories I hear, it sounds, maybe not all of them, but a lot of them seem to be demonic. Yeah, there's power in the Lord's name. Jesus is king. You think they're demons, but why? If you listen to the Betty and Bonnie Hill hypnotherapy sessions they recorded, it sounds very real and convincing, especially the terror and fear. Yeah, Jason Meza, salute. Betty and Bonnie Hill were from New Hampshire. Their granddaughter is a UFC fighter. I believe Betty and Bonnie Hill. For them to come out being an interracial couple at the time they did, why would they lie? Richard Fever says there's more evil than ever. Kraken says, I don't think there's anything demonic about them. I think we just don't understand them. Why would you try to communicate with something who's just trying to exercise you? Well, there's a few stories we looked into tonight. And I've done a lot of research. Like I said before, I'll say it again. At least with the ones that seem malevolent, when you say Christ's name, people have said they go away. That's why I tend to believe it. I don't think they're all evil, but I think some are. Personal NA says a skinworker is a person that does a dance and a ritual and extends their mind into your dream circuits. And when you are awake, it will create a three-dimensional image. That's not true, Personal. A skinwalker is a black, like a witch from the Navajo Indians. Look into it. It's only found in like a couple tribes out in the Southwest. Not everything's a skinwalker. There's only like 2 or 3 native tribes that talk about skinwalkers, and they call them the Anagloshi. Look up Anagloshi. Skinwalkers are not what you just said. And skinwalkers allegedly have to take the life of a family member, I believe, or someone close to them to be able to do it. Yeah, I've heard that some of them are good too. Some of them monitor us, but I'm talking about the malevolent ones. They can turn into animals and shit, but it's Native American folklore. People think skinwalkers are something they're not. You got to do your research. They call them the Anagloshi. A skinwalker is not an alien, as far as I know, from the research I've done through native tribes. We're going to look into an alien interview that's supposed to be classified. We'll see. Let's check this out. Released classified from years ago. I'm going to warn you guys. I don't know if this is real or not. It might scare some people. If you get scared easily, this might scare you. I don't know if it's true or not.
Okay, yesterday you told us you traveled, thousands of light years to get here. Tell us the truth before we'll never leave here. Just fall off. So I take it aliens took over our future, right? Sort of human. Okay, so you evolved from us. So what are you doing here now? How about we concentrate on your time? Wait, so you know the meaning of what? What's the difference? So you know how the universe is created. So you've seen God. Okay, illuminate us. What happens when we die? Okay, so let me get this straight. There's no death, and we all experience each other's lives, right? Okay, so how was the universe created, and why is it so perfectly made for us? Moving on. Okay, so why do we destroy ourselves with nuclear war? Can you be more specific, please? Okay, one last thing. What about morality? What do you base your morality on? I see. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Holy shit, that thing's freaky. There's more. I'll try and find the rest of the interview. Welcome to Nate's Live Talk. Please like, share, subscribe. That's why I like to do these live streams and look into stuff like this. It makes you think. I like to see what people think around the world. And I don't know if it's real or not, but it just makes you fucking wonder. It really make you wonder. What's up, Fab? Some people think it's space. What do I think? I think some of them mean good. I think some of them mean bad. There's always good and evil in the world, in the universe. Richard, salute. Thank you for the contribution. Well, Brian, if you don't like it, hit the fucking road. You can find it on YouTube. Black Rain, right? Make you want to hit the lotto. You think it's real? And I tell you what, that thing says that all that there is dogma. He pretty much tells you God isn't real or religion isn't real. Sounds kind of like what a demon would tell you. Austin, salute. This thing is from the future. I'm going to show part 2 in a minute. Let's check our poll. 69% say aliens are real. God isn't real and aliens aren't real, Brian? All right. Well, you're entitled to your opinion. We're just looking into stuff. We look into different topics here. If you don't like it, hit the fucking road. Here's part 2 of that interview.
Again, how was the that just happened. Right? So are you telling me we're just random? How so? Such as? So the universe doesn't care if we live or die. I don't believe that for a second. We're more than just random.
It kind of does sound like a lefty, huh? Is this a woke fucking alien? Make you wonder. Pretty funny. Funny either way. Funny either way. He don't want to hear it. The scientist trying to tell him he don't want to fucking hear it.
So, if we're just random, then there's no meaning to the universe. So if there's no meaning in the universe, then what point to live in? You just contradicted yourself again. No. You can't live a full life. You can't live a life at all. You think the meaning is all made up. So, what is meaning? Okay, moving on. You said we humans would die as a species. So, tell me, when does the nuclear war start?
Woke alien? Oh, funny shit. Funny shit. Right? But some people say that's a real interview. Some people say it's not. I can see why people say they're demons. That thing's fucking scary. That thing's fucking scary. You guys want to see more of it? More of that interview? Please like, share, subscribe. I will be back in 1 minute. I got to use the restroom. Let me stretch my legs. Thank you for cleaning up. Oh. Let's see some of the comments tonight. Jesus Christ is King. Salute. This is from Project Blue Book, I believe. That kind of looks like an ant. I'm just saying, Ben. They say it's from Project Blue Book. I don't know if it's true or not. I'm just doing a deep dive tonight, seeing what people think. That's what the show's about. That's what we do here. We fuck around and have fun investigating things. Yeah, it's pretty scary. John Goodman. Yeah, I'm John Goodman. I wish I had his money. Crazy shit. The shit you can find on the internet. But who fucking knows? Who knows? It could be real. Who's to say? Who the fuck's to say? None of us fucking know for sure. None of us know for sure. None of us know for sure. None of us know for sure.
Different species. So,
Yeah, that's true. My ex-mother-in-law, mine too, Richard. Mine too. I think weird shit happens there. It's real because it's a place that's charted on the map. Who knows? Maybe the person isn't in office anymore. Maybe the aliens changed what happened. Maybe it was Bin Laden and we got him. Who knows? That's what I find interesting about this stuff. People get on here and hate, and they're like, fake, this, that. I just like to talk about it and think about it and see what people think. Trump is an alien, you're funny. Not an illegal one. He's kicking all the illegal aliens out. I can't fucking wait. Yeah, isn't it crazy, Justin? You never know. It make you wonder. Make you wonder is all I'm saying. Please like, share, subscribe. We're going to watch a little more of the alien interview, allegedly from Project Blue Book in 1964.
okay, that's it. Thank you. How so?
I think we watched this one. Oh, I think this is the same one.
Think from blowing us up, we'll be fine, right?
Oh, that's the same one. I'm sorry. But that thing looks demonic as fuck. It's saying it don't want God. It just seems like it might be pushing an agenda. If that video is real, who's to say that alien wasn't pushing an agenda? Who says that alien's your friend? There's so many ways to look at it. So many different ways to look at it. It's scary. I don't know if it's real or not. You think I'm brain dead, Brian? Well, then why are you here? Why are you even here? Yeah, you never know, Efric. That's what I'm saying. Then why are you here? Yeah, I've seen ones of them dying. There was a UFO that crash landed in, I believe, Brazil. That one of the people that touched it and got like slime up from the alien on him, that the guy died. Anything's possible. Well, why don't you go bye-bye, Brian? Since all you like to do is just be a pain in the ass. I think it's funny I'm a fucking bozo. I think it's funny I'm a Momo. I'm gonna boot you the fuck out in a minute anyway. Any last words, fuckface? Yeah. It could still happen. Yeah, Brian's a libtard, obviously. Obviously a libby. A Momo, for sure. He got his attention. He's going to get the fuck out of here in a minute. He got his little bit of attention for the day. He can go beat off now. And another thing I don't understand is you guys hear them trumpets that have been heard around the world lately? Bye, Brian. You're a douche. You go on timeout till tomorrow. I don't get it. We're trying to have a show just talking and having fun. And you don't got to be a troll. You can fuck around. But the troll and shit, I ain't with it. I ain't with it. Just talking dumb nonsense all fucking night. Them trumpet sounds are weird too. I want to look into them a little bit one of these nights. These fucking idiots think I need him for a viewer. He was a buzzkill. Total buzzkill. Yeah, those trumpets are weird, man. Yeah, God could obviously be from outside Earth. Who knows? That's what I'm saying, Mark Cassidy. I don't get it. You hear him in South Texas? I don't know what to think about those things. Does anyone have an idea what's causing them? I don't think I've ever heard them. Maybe once. Once I heard some weird shit. Ashley, what's up, my love? I don't know if it's harp. Do you guys know what harp is? Maybe it's harp. Maybe they're digging or doing something like that. Phil Schneider says they used to use this machine that would melt the rock. They don't shoot through rock anymore, supposedly. I don't know if it's true or not. But I wonder what those trumpets are. That sound. No, but Jason Meza, do you know what harp is? HAARP? The government fucked with the ionosphere. And it fucked with radio waves and lots of stuff. I wonder if harp has something to do with it. With the rods they have. And it makes a noise from the vibration or something. I'm not saying the weather causes it. Harp allegedly can change the weather. Among other things. Art Bell used to talk about it all the time. Please like, share, subscribe if you haven't. Looking into aliens tonight. I think harp's evil too. Art Bell was against it. I don't hear a clicking like that, Lisa. I don't think. Really, Efric. Harp can target minds? Maybe. I think sound is what made the pyramids. I think they did something with frequency. And I'm not so sure that people built the pyramids. HAARP and CERN work together? How do they work together, James? I'd love to hear your theory. Plasma cutters? HAARP is a mind control device? It very well could be. HAARP can be used for a lot of things. You got to look into it. I'm not a scientist. Yeah, but it's being heard all over the world, Ed Filtz. Anthony, salute. Yeah, HAARP manipulates the weather. Could be. Ashley Benson, feel well soon. My brothers and my niece and nephew and my sister-in-law all have the flu right now. Bad. It's going around, supposedly, at least up here in the Northeast, in New England. Terraforming the planet. We'll look into giants another time. I wouldn't doubt it. They found bodies of them. They have found skeletons on giants. So I believe it. If you find a body or a skeleton, how could you not believe it? That's right, Dan. As far as we know. But it could be, it's strong enough to fuck with everywhere, I'm sure. There's also a machine I heard down in Antarctica that's a fucking telescope, amongst other things. Yeah, well, it's all in the fucking hieroglyphs, like you said. It's all in the Bible. It's in the Emerald tablets. It's in Sumerian tablets. It's been talked about for years. Yeah, we could look at this shit all day. Tonight, we're just touching on aliens a little bit. I can't jump around everywhere. If I jump all over the place, I'll never have time to do another show about something else. So we got to stick to things once at a time. Antarctica is a very fascinating place as well. I agree, De La. I have seen a UFO maybe twice. Maybe. One of the times I saw one was, there's a video on YouTube of, not on my channel, but if you look up Providence UFO, I believe that's the one I saw. And I also noticed when they hear these sounds of trumpets, there's been ring cloud scenes, clouds shaped as rings. Yeah, Jason, there's a lot of proof on them. Coke Zero, salute. He says they're interdimensional. A lot of people see that. You saw the Tic Tac mark? That's crazy. I think they're both. I think it's military and them. I got you, James Carlson. Thank you for contributing. Please like, share, subscribe. But they're seen all over the world, the sounds. I've seen them worldwide. And they speak about the trumpets in the apocalypse. That's what's scary. They speak about trumpets in the Bible. You think it's end times, Justin? I pray it's not. I pray it's not end times. But it very well could be. It very well could be. Who the hell knows? That's why I like talking about this stuff. See how other people think. I'm so glad you guys found me and I found you. Because a lot of people around me don't like talking about this stuff. This stuff scares people that I try to talk to about it. People think I'm nuts when I talk about this shit. Yeah, the sky. Yup, Jericho. Great point, Richard. Let's look at an insane sound coming from the sky. Mark Velez, salute. We're looking into aliens tonight. At some point, I will, De La. I know it dried up.
Is that? That is so loud. What the what is that sound? That's loud. Y'all ain't right with God. Y'all need to get right.
Hey guys, my name's Casey and this is Mindseed TV. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're... Is that the judgment? While the Philippines have seen their fair share of natural disasters, a massive typhoon hit during 2023, tearing through the country. Many people captured intense footage of this storm. But in this next clip, a man and his daughter capture something very strange. Listen closely. After hearing what could only be described as a judgment trumpet coming from outside while the storm is wailing, he tries to calm his daughter by telling her it's okay.
It's okay, baby.
But then he captures something even more bizarre.
What was that? Something flew by the window.
An unidentified flying object whips past his balcony.
That's fucked up. I seen something even closer,
Whatever
yeah.
this thing was, it was going in the opposite direction of the wind at crazy, insane speeds. And to make it even more frightening, immediately after the object flies by, another loud sound comes from the sky.
That shit's freaky.
So how do you explain this? What was the object flying by their balcony? And what were the sounds coming from the sky outside from within the storm? Let me know your thoughts. A woman with the username Shondaland Store captured something extremely eerie at 3:30 a.m. outside of her apartment in Houston, Texas.
It's a weird sound been going off for like every minute or so.
An extremely loud, bass-heavy roar could be heard every minute or two, filling the entire night sky, and it went on for nearly 2 hours.
Yo, what is this sound? This is crazy. What is that?
She was so shaken up by this event, the next day she sent the video footage to her local news stations, but apparently they didn't want to cover the story for some reason.
All right.
Many people in the comments section of this video coincided with hearing similar noises on the same day in that area.
Yo, what could this be? It is loud as hell. I don't know what that is, y'all. I'm going inside.
In this next clip, uploaded by TikTok user Nightmare Fuel, an extremely strange event is captured on camera in Mexico. Just moments before an intense earthquake, there were some very unexplainable sounds recorded along with some very unusual weather behavior. A loud slamming noise can be heard almost as if something were repeatedly crashing down into the earth. But that's not all that happened. Suddenly, a red and blue light begins to flash in the night sky, causing the entire street's power to go out, followed by a long, heavy sound that people could only describe as an extremely loud horn. Multiple people caught the event on camera, and it even made it to news outlets, with no explanation as what caused these strange lights. People in the comments section of TikTok claim that this is the government testing out HARP or Project Bluebeam.
There you go.
Nothing good ever comes after hearing these
HARP
noises.
or Project Bluebeam, they said.
In the video, people
It
were
may be.
genuinely afraid. So what do you think this was? Some sort of strange government weather weapon being tested, or something completely different? Let me know your thoughts down below. Many people visit Lake Hum in Australia for a family fun day on the water. However, one day in particular, there was a strange sound echoing across the entire lake that no one could explain. This family captured the entire event on their cell phones, and TikTok user Flying Hawaiian 12 uploaded this.
What the is that sound? You can hear that, right? Oh, yeah, what is this? I've got no idea.
Initially, it almost sounds like high-pitched alarms and echoes coming from a stadium of some sort. But as the sounds continue to go on and get louder, they begin to get stranger and creepier by the minute.
Can't say anything, but I can certainly hear that. It's aliens. Almost sounds like a plane.
At one point, it almost sounds like groups of people can be heard crying or screaming from within the echoes.
That's fucked up.
What the is that?
So, is this a real-life alien encounter? Something similar to the movie Nope? Maybe something paranormal? Or is this just a natural phenomenon of some sort caught on camera? Tell me your thoughts down below in the comments.
Excuse me.
What the is that?
Sounds like a demon.
If you're enjoying today's video, make sure that you hit that subscribe button and that little bell notification sound. And he actually captured one while he was live. Take a listen.
Right now it sounds like bearings, like... Right now, here, it's gonna scream.
The shit flashing.
That is so loud.
Some people in the comments claim this is more of a paranormal nature, like a banshee screaming in the night. Others say it's aliens or mythical creatures like a dragon. But whatever it was, no one can explain what would make this sound.
That is so loud.
In this clip, a man hears an insanely loud sound which can only be described as some sort of bass-heavy horn filling the entire sky outside of his apartment. He quickly goes outside to record the odd event and captures this strange noise several
Hell no, Lisa.
Police sirens and cop cars could be heard riding all around as panic breaks out in the city.
We already looked into that, Efric. That shit is loud.
Completely blown away by these strange noises he's capturing, he listens for a while longer, but after the noises appear to stop, he goes back into his apartment.
Really, Adam?
Shortly after, the strange sounds come back and begin to rumble his apartment for a second time.
That's what I'm saying, Horn. That's why I looked into both of them. A lot of good ones they did, Lisa.
This time, after hearing the loud horns again, he captures an extremely loud rumbling, which many people also heard and described as what sounded like a plane about to crash on their rooftops. What do you think this could be? Are these sounds from HARP, a weather-controlling machine in the sky, or something else entirely? Let me know what you think down below in the comments. While filming an approaching storm, as the winds begin to pick up speed, these friends capture something very loud and unexplainable. Take a listen. Again, a strange trumpet sound is heard during an approaching storm. One man even says he has seen videos and heard similar noises on social media, meaning that more and more people are witnessing these events firsthand and in person. But why is it always during or before a massive storm? Could this really be some sort of weather control device in action? What do you think this is? A man in Russia was on his nightly...
And this is what I find odd about it, is that it's not just happening in the U.S. It's happening around the globe. You can't just say, oh, it's some bullshit made up in the U.S. The shit is happening everywhere. And there's like, some of the sounds sound the same, but I don't think they're all lying. I don't think so.
He walked home from work when he suddenly hears a strange sound coming from the sky. Although he is speaking in Russian, users in the comments section said he was asking what the hell could be making this noise. Does anyone know what this could be? He genuinely sounds terrified in the video, and judging by the sounds, I can understand why. Where do you think these weird noises could be coming from? Next, a man is standing outside of his home when all of a sudden some extremely loud trumpets can be heard coming from the sky during an approaching storm.
Why is it always near a storm? There's always a storm coming in.
That this is one of the judgment horns sounding, and that if you're not right with the Almighty, now would be the time.
I ain't right with the Most High. I suggest you get right with the Most High.
Many people believe that the end of times will be signaled by trumpets heard from all around the world, announcing the end of times is near and the second coming is happening. These strange sounds continue for multiple minutes while he records the footage.
That's loud. That's loud. Y'all ain't right with God. Y'all need to get right.
Maybe.
So considering the fact that these mysterious similar sounds could be heard all around the world from multiple people at multiple times, do you think that this could be a sign of the end of days, the government, or some extraterrestrial visitors coming down for a visit?
Crazy shit. But I find it odd that most of the time there's a storm that comes around them. Find it odd. Yeah, the Y files, the WTF files are amazing. I don't know if he's still around, but that used to be the bomb. And then you look into Antarctica and shit. They got machines down there doing stuff. Yeah, James, but are they interdimensional? Where are they from? Antarctica's scary. Buzz Aldrin spoke out about it, I believe. You think something came through CERN? Could be. Could very well be. I think CERN is a bad idea. I think whatever they did at CERN is causing major problems. Or is going to. And we're going to look into that a little bit too. Yeah, it very well could have. I'm talking a little bit of everything, Mock, but mostly UFOs, space. But supposedly when they were on the moon, they had aliens looking at them. I want to look into that a little bit. And Buzz Aldrin passed the lie detector test. So who knows? Who the frig knows? I don't know if I trust Bob Lazar anymore. Oh, Bob Lazar I trust. Excuse me. The other guy, Steven whatever, I kind of feel like he's just someone they put out in front of the camera. I feel like Neil Tyson deGrasse is like that.
Here's a question likely to cause arguments at home. What is humankind's greatest achievement? The Age of Enlightenment? Music, perhaps? What about the Great Pyramid of Giza? Well, for many, it doesn't get any more glorious than the day Neil Armstrong stepped foot on the moon. This year marks the 50th anniversary of that remarkable feat of technology and daring. And while the Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin dominate our memories of that event, there's a third astronaut who deserves his place in history. Michael Collins piloted the Apollo 11 command module in lunar orbit, while the other two collected moon rocks. And as Sarah Arbo reports, if it wasn't for him, one of our greatest successes would have been a monumental failure. Right now, 400 kilometres above Earth, 6 men and women are hurtling around the globe 16 times a day in the International Space Station.
And all you have to do is turn yourself and your reference changes.
Just to think it's possible is mind-blowing.
I am working on the NGX cancer trials up here.
It's an extraordinary existence for the astronauts who are working on more than 200 different experiments in space. But they need help back down on Earth.
Copy that. All previous science has been downloaded to ground and you are going to...
And it's here in Cologne, West Germany, that Andrea Boyd, a remarkable Aussie engineer, spends her days speaking with them from the European Space Agency's Mission Control.
Yep, that sounds like a plan to us, Alex. Many thanks.
No worries, mate.
Yeah, do they love talking to an Aussie?
They do, yeah. I have to say, a couple of the crews have tried to do a bit of an accent back to me, which is funny. Alex, who was just up there, would often put "no worries, mate" at the end of his calls to me. And yeah, he'd also add "good as gold" was one of his favourite phrases to say. It was great.
35-year-old Andrea always wanted a career in space. Luckily, in her lifetime, it's something that's been possible. But it wasn't that long ago that space exploration was still the stuff of science fiction. This year is the 50th anniversary of Apollo 11 blasting off to the moon. But in terms of technology, it feels like a millennia has passed. Back in July 1969, there were no such things as mobile phones, home computers, or even the internet.
Josh Roberts, I'd love to hear about it. I'm going to talk to you after this video.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
So, as Neil Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin became the first humans to ever walk on the moon, their extraordinary achievement turned the pair into instant worldwide heroes. But there was a third man on Apollo 11. Michael Collins didn't make headlines for stepping onto the moon, but he was the backbone of the mission.
Did I have the best seat on Apollo 11? No. Was I happy with the seat I did have? Yes, I really was. And to be any small part of that suited me very, very well. And besides, I was their ticket home. They couldn't get home without me.
So you had ultimately the biggest responsibility.
Yes, yes.
Michael is now 88, but
God
age
bless
hasn't
him.
affected his razor-sharp mind and quick wit.
She doesn't know who she is unless she to her. Okay.
We need to remind them constantly, Michael.
Okay.
Michael trained as a fighter pilot, but always dreamt of flying in space. Back then, it was still unknown who would make the best astronauts.
I mean, what sort of people should they be? Who should you select? And all sorts of crazy notions came out of the closets. For example, they said, well, there's no air up there, and mountain climbers are used to very thin atmosphere, so we maybe ought to get mountain climbers. Other people said, well, it's dangerous. Maybe we ought to pick bullfighters would be good.
During the lunar landing, while Neil and Buzz were picking up moon rocks, Michael's job was to stay on board the command module orbiting the moon.
Not since Adam has any human known such solitude as Mike Collins is experiencing during the 47 minutes of each lunar revolution when he's behind the moon.
You were orbiting on the far side of the moon in absolute pitch black, complete darkness.
Yeah, the food was terrible, but I enjoyed my time behind the moon. It's a more rugged place and not a very comfortable place.
this is Houston, reading 11 clear alert.
When you circled back to the bright side of the moon, what was Earth like?
Being very close to the moon was very impressive in many ways, but the moon is nothing compared to our home planet. It was it. It was center stage. It was any little thing, blue of the ocean, white of the clouds, little streaks of tan that we call continents. It's about the size of your thumbnail if you hold it out in front.
I heard, James. I saw it.
Those streaks of tan was Australia.
We paid absolutely no attention whatsoever to Australia for 2/3 of the time. The other 1/3 of the time, Australia owned us. We needed Australia. You were our guidance. You were part of our flight because you had this gigantic antenna at Parkes.
Little old Australia, down under.
Down under, yes. We needed it badly. They were our source of information. They told us where we were. So Australia went to the moon with us in that regard.
Collector, I run into...
While Neil and Buzz definitely had the starring roles on the moon, Michael Collins had the most important job of all. He was tasked with bringing them safely home. And it all came down to a single tricky manoeuvre, redocking the lunar module. One wrong decision could have led to disaster.
That was the part of it that I worried the most about was if they didn't get off at all, I couldn't go and rescue them. I went home by myself. If they got off into some strange orbit, not the correct one, then I could come and rescue them sometimes, but not in other times. And I had around my neck a little rope, an 8x10 notebook, which had inside it 18 different cases, possibilities.
And you had to be prepared for all of them.
Well, as best we could. I confess that of those 18, there were a couple that I thought were so far out they would not really ever happen, and I'm not sure I could have handled them. They were very complicated.
Thankfully, the reconnection was smooth and uneventful. But once back down on Earth, instead of being able to enjoy their hero status, the 3 astronauts were initially treated like aliens.
Yeah.
We were put into quarantine for 2 weeks. Some of our scientists were worried about the pathogens that we might have brought back from the moon. They possibly would be dangerous to humankind. So their solution to that was to put us inside a hermetically sealed container with a gigantic colony of white mice. The white mice lived, we were okay. White mice died, we were in deep trouble. And of course, I was checking on them. There were too many of them to give names to, but they became my friends. And
the mice survived.
The mice did beautifully, yes, thank you. Love those mice.
Half a century on from Apollo 11's groundbreaking mission, space travel is almost taken for granted.
So from Little Adelaide to Cologne and the International Space Station.
Yes. I definitely should have paid more attention to German in high school. I thought, when am I ever going to need this?
And people like Andrea Boyd have successfully made it their career. When did you know that this is what you wanted to do?
Pretty early, I have to say. Star Trek came on, a new series, when I was about 10, and I watched that every week and adored it and learnt the word engineering. So I was like, all right, if I do engineering, one day I'll figure out how to do something with space.
7 years ago, Andrea landed the job of flight controller here at the European Space Agency's Mission Control.
So this is where the space magic happens.
Pretty interesting.
Roland Heitzman says he saw...
Andrew started his TikTok.
Roland Heitzman says...
I find this interesting. I see you guys chatting it up. That's why I do this, for people to talk. Maybe people know something you don't. You can always learn from someone. We're going to look at a UFO sighting and the creature seen by someone in the summer of 45. Please like, share, subscribe if you haven't. Thank you for joining us tonight as we go down another rabbit hole.
He saw a UFO and has part of the spaceship to prove it. KCAL News anchor Chris Holmstrom is here. And Chris, you spoke with him about this.
Yeah, it sounds like a wild story, but what's crazy about it is the federal government is actually investigating this case, which makes you wonder what's really going on. All right, so this man, Jose Padilla, he was 9 years old back in 1945. When he says he and his friend witnessed something, they'd never forget.
He used to carry a suitcase with him. Wear a fancy-looking hat.
87-year-old Jose Padilla of Roland Heights is recalling a brush with infamy he had as a boy.
I used to see Robert Oppenheimer.
That Robert Oppenheimer and mastermind of the atomic bomb. Padilla grew up in San Antonio, New Mexico, some 13 miles from where the bomb was first tested in 1945. Jose recalls seeing the dapper physicist frequently near the Al Bar, a local gathering spot still operating today.
He had an office right behind the Albo Bar.
That office, now a shack Jose has visited frequently in recent years to try to make sense of a series of events in the summer of 45, starting with the A-bomb detonation at New Mexico's Trinity site near the White Sands Missile Range.
I was drinking my chocolate milk in the kitchen when like a lightning showed up.
The glow of a mushroom cloud could be spotted up to 150 miles away.
He knocked me to the ground.
A month later, Jose and a playmate were riding on his father's ranch and heard another boom.
I told my friend, it must be another test from the bomb. And he says, no, it's not a bomb. Look at the smoke coming out of the ground.
It appeared to be coming from an avocado-shaped aircraft. This is an artist's rendering.
All of a sudden, 3 little, I would say, kids got up of it. They were kind of sashaying and running around in circles.
He says they resembled extraterrestrials he's since seen in the movies.
They walk like us, but they look like a fire ant standing up.
Jose and I recently met up at a favorite spot of his, the Griffith Park Observatory. Did you have any fear of these creatures?
No, sir. They had crashed at my father's ranch, and they needed help.
Over the following 10 days, Jose says the military cleaned up the wreckage, while he and his friend watched from a nearby ridge.
Castello here for good.
His buddy, Remy Baca, became a Marine, moved to Washington State, and worked in politics. Jose moved to Roland Heights and quietly raised a family.
We had lost each other.
The men were interviewed by investigative reporter and UFO researcher Paula Harris in 2012. Harris was investigating a claim by the son of World War II Army pilot William Brophy.
The pilot's son told me the last missions of his father was to fly over that area. And he said that when he flew over, that he saw 2 little Indian boys on horseback.
Harris believes those 2 boys were Jose and his friend. Though warned to stay away, they returned to their viewing ridge day after day.
We were hiding behind cactuses.
Jose says when soldiers took a break from cleanup, he and his friends entered the craft. The creatures were gone, but something else caught his eye.
There was like a little dial.
Jose yanked it out.
I took the part and hid it in my garage.
Chemical testing in 2015 by Frontier Analysis, based out of Ohio, revealed that the artifact was composed of aluminum mixed with silicon and copper. Now, that's a common metal mix found in engine parts. But the report went on to say that even though the isotopic ratios are terrestrial, an extraterrestrial source for the metals is not ruled out.
No one knows what it is.
What do you say to people who might think that you're crazy and the story is not true?
Well, I've had a lot of people say that.
It's actually very common to be called crazy.
Jeffy Kripal is a professor of religion at Houston's Rice University and founder of the campus's Archives of the Impossible. Kripal calls Jose an experiencer.
An experiencer is someone to whom something remarkable or extraordinary has happened. It's usually used in a UFO context.
Stories like Jose's are far from isolated.
There are tens of thousands of these stories.
And they go back to biblical times.
Ezekiel chapter 1 and strange animals and the wheels within wheels. And as someone who studies religion, I'm extremely interested. There is a phenomenon. It's very real. It's very powerful.
And there seems to be a pattern. Jose's encounter happened 1 month after an atomic blast.
There is a very strong connection.
While Kripal is moved by stories like Jose's, he acknowledges the lack of physical evidence. Not only was testing on Jose's artifact inconclusive, there are no photos of actual encounters.
That doesn't mean they didn't happen.
That's right.
It just means they're not a proper object of scientific inquiry.
Paula Harris disagrees. Her book, Trinity, details what she calls compelling evidence, including
the exact location. It was a circular spot where nothing would grow.
Her co-investigator on the book is Dr. Jacques Vallée. He's a French astronomer who became famous after Steven Spielberg based a character on him in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. In the movies and in the stories of experiences, Professor Kripal says there's often a connection to nuclear weapons or environmental collapse. His theory about these encounters:
I think we are the aliens. I think we're warning ourselves about these issues through this phenomenon.
The most significant impact of Jose's story, a new start date for the federally funded UFO research. Under the 2023 National Defense Authorization Act, Congress pushed back the date on investigating UFO sightings from 1947 to 1945. That's all Jose has ever wanted.
Since I was a young kid, I wanted to learn and know what had happened.
As he reflects on his childhood memory, Jose remains steadfast on this. The creatures, he says, were real to him, and the craft they rode in on,
that object, it is not from this world.
Interesting shit around all the around all the nuclear shit. There's lots of sightings of UFOs as well, which I find odd. And I also find it strange that why do we have a space force then? I think there's good ones and I think they're bad ones. You could call them angels, you could call them demons. I think the bad aliens, what we call aliens, I think they're demons. I really do. Like I said, in stories of people having problems with beings from outer space or aliens, whatever you want to call them. I've heard many stories of people saying when they bring up Jesus's name, the beings go away. In that supposed video we watched of an alien interview, I don't know if it's true or not, allegedly true. All the guy does is say religious dogma, religious dogma. So, and the way they act and behave makes me feel like they're evil. I think there's some good aliens and I think there's some bad ones. I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't doubt it. I think you're right, recruiter. I think you're right. Freedom, salute. I agree with some of that, James, absolutely. Excuse me. Haktua, Kamala. Well, there's some good ones and some bad ones, recruiter. Either way. You think everything's just good? If there's good, there's evil. If there's good, there's evil. You can't just say, oh, they're all good, they're all bad. I've heard that as well, Efric. I don't think anyone's helping us right now. I think we're in a lot of fucking trouble. I think if shit don't change quickly, this world's going to be fucked. Especially here in the United States. You guys know how I feel about that shit. You know how I feel about our president and our vice president. They're fucking trash. The world will be fine. The people won't be. Freedom, salute, good luck. We are not gods. I don't think we're gods either. We're Elohim's children that... We're going to look into an alien abduction experience of Sue Jameson and her 2 children. Shut up. Go lick someone's balls, you idiot. Fucking scream balls. Fuck off.
Sue's 56. She's experienced abduction since childhood.
Fucking idiot.
Sue's 56. She's experienced abduction since childhood. They've been very traumatic experiences for her. In the course of time, she's managed to overcome her fear, among other things, by painting her visitors.
It was so scary to me when I think about it, but then when I finally was able to paint it, then it didn't seem so scary to me. His face doesn't look that scary. He almost looks like he has a look of wonderment.
But you remember precisely having seen this in his face? When was it?
The first abduction Sue remembers clearly occurred when she was 19. A pulsating blue light woke her as it made its way across the bedroom. Sue was in bed, terrified and unable to look at it. They're here, she thought. But who are they? Her thoughts made no sense at all. She heard her mother get up, call her, and then go back to bed. Terrified, Sue found the courage to turn around. It was then she noticed 2 small gray beings. Then she passed out. The next day, her mother confirmed that she did get up after hearing a noise in her daughter's room, but that some sort of a force compelled her to go back to bed. Gradually, Sue would come to realize that she'd been abducted since childhood, but simply didn't understand what was happening.
That was really, when I was 19, was the first time that I remembered seeing these beings when I was a kid. Coming into the room and waking up and finding them standing next to your bed and being terrified. And feeling that, I remember feeling that the world was just not a safe place, that there was nowhere that was safe, that no matter where I went or what I did, that they could find me, and that nobody could help me, nobody could stop it. It's really scary. Scary way to grow up. And so as I got older, that's what bothered me so much with my kids, was knowing that they were also being visited and there was nothing I could do about it. We're just going to do some...
David, Sue's husband, manages a construction company. A nature lover, he's preparing for retirement by turning part of their land into a Christmas tree farm. David gets up at dawn every morning. He's never been abducted himself, and he lived with Sue for over 30 years.
The trees on the sides of the field are all old, a lot of them, and they're starting to fall on my Christmas trees and stuff. So I take them down, use them for firewood rather than let them fall into the field.
He's such a good boy. He's such a good boy.
You have seen things yourself around here? Not so much seeing things, but being paralyzed. Held down. And our can't move. It was involved with things that were going on with Sue, as near as I can tell, and I tried to get up and I'd be paralyzed. You know, I couldn't move.
Do you remember what's happened then?
No, I
Then
never
screw.
Just before being paralyzed.
Don't watch
just
it then.
Noises or something, or she was stirring and I was trying to get up and, you know, to see what was going on.
Might be obsessing, no?
Well,
You're getting anxiety. Do you pray? Do you have a relationship with God? Do you feel guilty for some of the shit in your life? You guys want to turn a blind eye to all kinds of stuff. That's why you have anxiety. Because you don't want to believe what could possibly be happening all over the world. It's wild to me. I don't get anxious about much. Fuck it. I can't control anything. It's all God. It doesn't matter if this shit exists or not. I got God. Why are you afraid? People that generally have anxiety and fear like that, I notice, don't have a real good relationship with God. I don't fucking, if something took me out right now, I wouldn't give a fuck. I'm not afraid of none of that shit. If you don't like what we're watching, you can leave. This fucking world does not revolve around you, DF. Holy shit. It doesn't bring anything negative. You're bringing negative, having a fucking meltdown about your anxiety. Then go. Don't watch it. We're not afraid of it. We're watching it. We're learning, doing something educational on a Saturday night. You act like the channel's supposed to revolve around you. All you've done is fucking bitch and moan. Go. If you can't handle it, go. Oh, anxiety. Go watch a video to help you with your anxiety. I bet they're Democrats. You know it, guys. I hate to sound like it, and I hate to cut people off and do this, but I'm watching the chat while trying to watch the video, and they're just fucking morons. Oh, this gives me anxiety. Then why are you watching it, you stupid? You're a dumbass. Don't watch it then. Fucking idiot.
yeah, I mean, just it even happened. That happens here to me.
I don't care what you
Like the
support.
heavy
You're a
weight
pain in the
holding me
ass.
down.
You're just talking nonsense.
You know, holding me in bed, and I can't explain it. Except I'm strong.
It's stupidity.
I can't hold it back, and then I go to sleep or something, and when I wake up, it's okay.
If it gives you anxiety, go. If it gives you anxiety, go. Sitting there fucking talking, controlling the whole chat. Go.
After lunch, David went outside to do some work on the farm, as he liked to call it, his Christmas tree farm.
Because you said you have anxiety watching it. You just want attention. Fucking go. If it gives you anxiety, go.
Winter was setting in. David and Sue have 2 children, Danny and Jake, who are both going on 30 and no longer lived with their parents. In 1990, Sue experienced an abduction in which her 2 children were also involved. Danny was 13 and Jake 11. Night had fallen. Sue and David were woken up by a blue light and their dog, Molly, whining. The dog was downstairs, petrified. Sue got up, but David couldn't get out of bed. Sue suddenly felt as if she was being pushed towards the stairs.
As I walked down the stairs, I remember thinking, I'm going to make sure I'm looking at this is my home. It's Sunday night. David's in bed. It's 11 o'clock. This is, these are my pictures that are on the wall. This is the color of my rug. I know that I'm awake. And I stepped into the kitchen, and Danny was standing there. He was 13, and he was standing like a robot. I mean, his hands were really down like this against his side, and his eyes were really big. and he looked so scared. And I stepped toward him, and I remember thinking, my God, he's paralyzed with fear. That's the thought
There you
that
go.
went through my mind. And I stepped toward him, I put my hands out to him, and I said, sweetie, they won't hurt you. They won't hurt you. You'll be okay. They won't hurt you. And it was like he couldn't even hear me. He didn't look at me. His eyes were just like straight ahead. And the light was all around us at that time. And I walked past him and pulled in behind him, stepped in behind him. And just as I stepped in behind him, I could see Jake coming in the other door into the kitchen. And I remember thinking I was so angry because I thought, they've been messing with me my whole life. Don't mess with my kids.
Did you ever pray to God?
But there was nothing I could do.
Never said a thing about praying.
And that's the last thing that I remember. Everything after that was like a dream. It just got like really, like in a dream where things, out of sequence. And I knew I wasn't in my home. I didn't know where I was, but I could hear Danny screaming, and I was just like trying to hit something. I remember it was just really crazy. And then the next thing that I remember was waking up the next morning, waking up in bed, and David was there. And when I woke up, I laid awake for a few minutes, and I thought it had to have been a dream. Sue, he said, you did get up. He said, and I did speak to you. You were walking around the end of the bed, and he said, I asked you where you were going, and you said that now he was crying and that you were going downstairs. He said, I tried to get up, and I couldn't move because it was like I was paralyzed, and something was pushing down on me, and everything went black, and I couldn't remember anything after that. And I remember feeling such total helpless fear.
The birds are eating the bugs in the tree. So it's time to, make it into wood. See the holes?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, just why the limbs are breaking off, and it's just, I'd rather burn it than just have it rot. What do you want to know, Captain?
Just to know what you're feeling about all this thing happening to Sue and your children.
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, it's something so weird. How did you react first when when was it the first time you noticed that something was going wrong?
Well, she started having, these experiences she has since she was a child. And then, after the boys were born, there just more and more stuff happening to her. And so we just, I just learned more about it by listening to her. Just like spirituality, I've learned by listening and watching what happens. And pretty much that's, that's the way it is. There's not much you can do about it.
Pray. Pray.
Just a lot of educated people that believe, in the UFO phenomenon. And I'm not putting myself as one of the educated, but you have to keep your mind open for everything.
Well, then why don't you pray?
And, so that's what it is.
I don't understand people. There's so many resources where you can find out what's going on, at least in today's world. I told you guys, I think some of these interdimensional beings or aliens, whatever you call them, I think they're fucking demons. They look like fucking demons. When we seen an interview with one allegedly, it acted like a demon. I've heard so many stories of people having experiences with aliens, whatever you want to call them. I call them aliens. And they say they say prayers or bring up Christ. And these things scatter like demons. I'm going to look for a video right now of one. I think a lot of them are demons. I'm not saying there could be angels and demons. The good ones are angels, the bad ones are demons. People live in fear because they don't have God in their life. I really believe that. People live in fear because they don't have a relationship with God. I have heard stories and read stories of people mid-abduction praying to Jesus and it goes away. I've heard about it many times. There it is. There's one of them.
Church, we're going to start out by clearing the air a little bit. And I've done this phenomenon was a real phenomenon. This was something that was actually happening to these people.
I was like paralyzed. I actually
Call it a little being, but he was luminescent, like light.
The big bulbous head, the gray skin. What I saw was a typical gray black eye.
2.5 feet tall.
They all were dealing with something that was very unusual from a human perspective. This was something I felt that we needed an answer to, because at this point in time, there were no answers. My name is Joe Jordan, and I'm the State Section Director for the Mutual UFO Network for Brevard County, Florida. I'm also lead field investigator. When we get a call for an investigation, we take all the information we could over the phone, and then we send investigators out, sometimes myself, sometimes other investigators working with me, and we follow up to do an investigation report. To these people, they were sincere, they had sincere experiences, and they were looking, a lot of them looking for help, and they felt that being that we were involved as researchers and investigators, that we could be some help to them.
My name is Joyce Ahrens. I'm a floral designer. Well, I am separated from my husband. We've been separated for about 5 years. I have 2 children, a boy and a girl. I have 9 grandchildren. One abduction experience we had, both of us, and both of us remember this too. I was laying in the bed, my husband and I was laying on the right side.
Trolls, not people.
And all I could see,
Let's keep it real.
all I could see was
I
this
boot
red light
trolls.
above the window, and I could see my husband's shoulder, but I was like paralyzed. His skin looked like elephant skin, and he had the big bulbous head with the big wraparound eyes.
As an honest researcher, I realized that I couldn't just count these people out because the stuff that they had was so bizarre.
Whenever I went on board ship, The alien he got really mad.
Fuck
at me
him, I don't need him.
Because I had my tubes tied after my daughter was born. He said, well, it doesn't make any difference because I can do it. Well, I honestly believe the next morning when I woke up, I was pregnant. It was about 3 months later, I was abducted, and they took the child. A little while later, they came again, and I was on board ship, and one of the aliens brought a child to me. How did that come from me? How? How did that happen?
Most of the researchers in the realm have said it wasn't possible to stop an experience. Knowing that, I called some of the leading researchers in the country. So I said, guys, I've got a very unusual case here. This man, we'll use the name Bill, and during his experience, in fear, he calls out, Jesus, 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 or Jesus, please help me. By calling out, he abruptly stops his abduction experience. These entities can be stopped in the name and authority of Jesus Christ.
Once down in Cocoa, this was after I accepted Jesus Christ, they tried to come. And I kept saying, no, you're not doing this. And I took on the empowerment of Jesus Christ, and I stopped that.
For we wrestle not against flesh and blood. These are spiritual entities.
Taking on the empowerment of Jesus Christ puts a stop to a lot of things. And he's helped me a great deal. Thank you, Lord.
As we study the passages in the Bible that describe what we call the end times, it's interesting that one of the characteristics that shows up in Daniel 2 is that it says they will mingle themselves with the seed of men. Now, in order for them to mingle with the seed of men, they have to be something other than the seed of men. So
Correct.
It's just a hint, but it's a profound hint that somehow in the end times there's going to be again some kind of commingling, some kind of intrusion into the genetic DNA makeup of people. That's going to be a contaminant that will be part of the end times. And that's why there's so much scholastic interest in this UFO business, in the abduction narratives and reports. And we may very well be being plunged into a period of time about which the Bible says more than it does about any other period of time in history, including the time of the Gospels when Jesus walked the shores of Galilee.
And that's just one video of many. One video of many. The Hopis talk about it. That's correct, Tori. But something about them doesn't feel right. Most of these experiences, at least with the grays, at least with the gray aliens, the experiences aren't good experiences, I find. Oh, that light's bright tonight. I don't know why. I have to fuck with it. But I really believe some of these things are demons. Probably Efric. But that's just how I feel about it. You guys can give your opinion. I think that's why people get anxiety over this shit. Please like, share, subscribe if you haven't. Like them two women. A couple of women from earlier were getting so anxious over it. Like, there's nothing to be scared of. People are so scared of everything nowadays. If you believe in the Lord, there's nothing to fear. I don't think people realize it. And I don't go to church all the time. I was raised Catholic. I am not a fan of the Catholic Church. All the stuff that happened. And people will go, oh, you fucking hypocrite, this, that, and the other thing. No. You don't. All you need is a relationship with your God and yourself. Yeah, it's bad up here, supposedly, Mark. Allegedly. And all you have to do is believe in God, man. If you believe in God and talk to him and pray, it'll be fine. It'll be fine. I don't go to church much anymore. And I pray to God. I talk to God. And I have bad shit happen still. But I leave it in God's hands. I am not afraid of shit. I'm really not. I wouldn't make videos like I do if I was a scaredy cat. You know? God forbid it ever happened, but you never know. But I think some of these things are satanic. I really do. Call me crazy. I just think some of them are bad. I really do. I agree, Tori. You look at some of these preachers and pastors, they got $1 million fucking churches, $1 million jets. It's disgusting. I'm going to look into some dirty ass preachers soon and expose them. And the thing with dirty preachers like Joel Osteen and these people, I know people just like them that think they're the greatest. And their real God is money. Their real God is money. Their real God is not scripture. Their real God is not honestly being a good person. If half the shit they did was brought unto the Lord would fucking not be happy with them. You bet, Lone Wolf. That's why I never started a business. I'm very capable. I'm smart. I can talk to people. I never started a business because I didn't feel right making money off people's labor. Something about making money off other people, even though they're making money, for me personally, I feel like I'm not supposed to do it. I don't know why, but I feel like God put me here on earth to not do that shit to people. Like, people are like, what the fuck? Just start a business. You're fucking mad smart. What are you doing? You know mad people. What are you doing? And I'm like, I try to tell them, I'm like, I can't do it, man. I can't do it. It resonates with me for some reason. Yeah, Jet. It's like something in my soul tells me that ain't the way you're supposed to be, man. Now, I would do it by myself. You know? I could do it by myself, but unfortunately right now I'm old and beat up. Maybe when I get the weight off. But I just think a lot of this shit, you can read the Bible and hear about things that could potentially be alien by what we call it today. And I'm going to look into a little bit more of it. Well, we call it a night.
More. So I heard a great breakdown on this very topic from.
Do they really, Tori? I wouldn't doubt it. If you read the Bible, how could you not think the two things correlate? If you've ever written any scripture, I don't know how you couldn't think the way they describe things could not be anything more than aliens. They came from the stars. They came from the sky. They had powers. In a chariot of burning fire. Like, that's how they would describe something that sounds like something from outer space. And I think there's good ones too.
In early February,
Potentially agents. Potentially angels. What's up, John? Please like, share, subscribe. We're going to check out this video. See if it speaks on it at all. Yeah, Mark, there you go. That's not a coincidence. That's God talking to you.
1989, a man got into his car in his native
I would love to
hometown,
hear it, Tori.
and drove to the city of Auckland.
I would love to hear the scripture.
In early February 1989, a man got into his car in his native hometown, Rotorua, and drove to the city of Auckland, New Zealand. The journey from Rotorua to Auckland took 3 hours, which is normal. When he got to his destination, he was met with cheers, sadness, happiness, anxiety, and every form of positive emotion from the people that greeted him. Even the police came around to see him. He was confused with this newfound celebrity status. He asked what the whole ruckus was all about, and that's when he was told that he had been missing for 10 days. How did a 3-hour journey turn into a journey that lasted 10 days? This was the question that only the man, Alec Newall, could answer. The only problem was that Alec had no idea where he had been or how he had been missing for 10 days. When worried family members asked him where he had been, he was unable to give a clear answer. To top it off, he started suffering from terrible headaches, tiredness, and had trouble focusing. This was beginning to be the norm for Alec until he started remembering. Bit by bit, and finally he remembered what happened. And his revelation was shocking to not just his family, but to the whole world. It turns out Alec was abducted by aliens.
I was driving the car one minute, and the next the car was nowhere to be seen, and it didn't feel like I had a body, actually. That's where the death scenario comes into it. I felt totally as if I'd been put through a sieve. I think I mentioned that in the book. It felt like all the solid parts had been sifted out. And here I was in a sort of a glowing or a ghost-like entity drifting around, not really touching the ground, and having no walls of description around me in a huge space. And all there was sort of, in the far distance, was some ghost-like entities. And
that was an interview where he described his abduction. Alec originally thought he was dead, and it was his spirit going from this world to the next. Then several weird-looking creatures appeared in front of him. At first, he thought they were ghosts, but they looked really weird that the idea of ghosts didn't sound plausible. The creatures looked very thin, about average height, and had big heads and eyes that were very narrow. When compared to humans, their faces were bigger. It was then it dawned on him that these were aliens. This is how they look. Even though they didn't say anything with their mouth, Alec could feel them in his head right away, like they were telepathically talking to him. "Welcome," he said. "I am the designated guardian of this section. Anything that you feel you might need to make your stay with us more pleasant, ask and I shall do my best to supply it. The suit you have been given will make it possible for you to understand us, and us you." That was what one of the aliens said to him. The alien told him he would not stop Alec if he wished to leave, but hoped he stay because they were willing to share so much knowledge about, well, everything to guide us. After this encounter, he was taken to their city, which Alec described in his book as being so neat and large that he could not make up their boundaries. Yes, he wrote a book about his experience titled Coevolution, an Interplanetary Adventure. A quick search on Google and you will see where you can buy the book and read more on his adventure and experience. Alec's description of the alien city made the building on Earth look small in comparison. There may well be bigger cities on Earth, but where I come from, this place would be rated big. Very big. It stretched out in both directions, following the coastline out of my line of sight. There seemed to be only a thin strip of land that was not coastline or desert, and the city was sandwiched within it. The last thing really to make an impact upon me was the lack of tall buildings, save for the odd tower or two, and the dominance of small circular shapes among a few larger pyramid-shaped constructions. They appeared to be made from a material that looked just like tinted glass or semi-transparent plastic. I couldn't quite see the apex of these buildings from my vantage point, but later I was to find that they were capped with a spiral tower or antenna arrangement. The height of the tower added approximately 25% to the building's overall height. Each building in turn was topped with what I can only describe as a large light bulb. In his book, Alec made drawings of the buildings he saw. He went on and on about the architecture of the buildings he saw, even describing the house and room he was staying in, and he was stunned by its beauty. But sightseeing wasn't the major reason why he was abducted. It was for the aliens to pass knowledge on to him, so that in turn, he would pass that same knowledge to others. According to the aliens, Earth's history has a lot of stories that have never been told. Most of this information about Earth's true history is now carefully guarded by a small group of sects that are actively keeping this information from ever reaching the public. When reading that part, I wouldn't lie. It made sense to me. There are a lot of things about our universe only a select few know about, and the public is just left to fill in the gaps to the best of their abilities. However, these sects were not always secret when they were given this information. The original plan was for this ancient information to be shared with everyone, but I guess plans changed. The alien talked about two species of the human race, Homo sapiens and the Cro-Magnon. Apparently both Homo sapiens and the Cro-Magnon precursor species were created by humans. Around 70,000 years ago, the last pieces of the Cro-Magnon puzzle were put together. The Cro-Magnon was not the first humanoid that lived on Earth, but it was the first one that was designed to be a receiver or container so that a second bodiless being could live with it and experience physicality through its host's solid outer body form. You know how almost every religion on Earth believes that the body is different from the spirit or soul?
Yep.
Christianity believes in saving your soul and not letting your flesh or your body dictate your life. The same applies to Islam, and is why some misguided people twist it to make people commit suicide bombings, because they believe their souls will be redeemed, and that this body is just nothing more than a container.
Our real life starts after doomsday, so this is not our real life. This world is a paradise for pagans and a hell for Muslims. We just need to be patient.
Which is almost the same thing that the aliens were telling Alec. After the Cro-Magnon, they made a new species that they could remember everything that was saved for them, and use it at any time in the future. That is, its mental capabilities were already fully formed, and it didn't need any more improvements or evolutionary changes at that point. All the knowledge that would ever be needed by this race, up until its next evolutionary step, was already present on the planet, and in the safekeeping of the trustees, which Alec believes to be the Homo sapiens. The one alien that revealed most of this information was a female alien known as Xena. She told Alec about how some of her people came to Earth, how some stayed back, while others moved on. Even the pyramids are ancient legacies left behind by some of her ancestors to help awaken us when the time is right. She talks about how the Earth is special and beautiful, and because of that, there are a lot of external forces that desire Earth for their own purpose. At this moment, reading the book, I kept seeing Darkseid from DC Comics, or Loki from Marvel's Avengers.
Right.
One riveting thing she shared and kept me wondering was about a dark force who came to Earth. The dark force wanted Earth for itself and got it. In such, according to Xena, the dark force is still among us. After this force won your planet, it realized it would have a continuous fight on its hands for you. We're not as you are now. You were well on your way to enlightenment, with a very strong spiritual base. You were actually almost as strong as this force itself. It had to trick you in order to master you. And while you were down, it altered your makeup, your very structure, your DNA, in fact.
The Anunnaki.
It crippled you and stunted you, and set you back many thousands of years. It made you into what you are today, which is only a portion of the great you can be, for you have not yet fully recovered. And if that force has its way, you never will. That force is known to most as the force of darkness, for it is indeed the enemy of enlightenment. It is in the air that you breathe and everywhere about you. It has aligned itself to the planet and you. Now, reading this part, I couldn't help but again draw similarities between different cultures that talked about how advanced humans were in the past, but war, greed, lust, and the dark heart of men made us lose so much. The Bible talks about a race of humans that were superior to everything until the Apple incident. And this alien just echoed her own version of it. A lot of mind-boggling narratives were shared between the two. She talked about an underwater base where she and her people live on Earth, and also how she is in contact with people in power, sharing knowledge with them to share with the rest of mankind. But they deemed that the population was not ready for the message. If I don't believe anything in this story, I highly believe that one. Again, a lot of intriguing narratives with supposed proof and facts that make you question a lot of things. I can't cover all of them. It would make this video way longer than it should. But you can get the book for yourself and read up on it. Finally, after the riveting encounters, history lessons, ephemeral sightseeing, and rides in a spaceship, yes, he was given a ride in a spaceship, and also lengthy talks about sex. Yes, that was also talked about. He was sent back to Earth, to the same location he was before the abduction. This would explain why to him, he felt time never passed, because he was in the same car. But in reality, he had just spent 10 days on an alien planet. When Alec released just a snippet of this information to the public, what happened to him next was nothing short of a thriller movie. There were no words that could describe the events that happened to him next. The police, the SIS, the scientists, the CIA, everyone wanted to know about these aliens Alec talked about, and they weren't asking nicely. He started noticing things. He was being followed. The same car he had never seen before was all of a sudden parked at the end of his street, just 2 houses before him. He decided to move to a new place and environment, but he was still followed. When they couldn't follow him anymore, they decided to make contact with him and ask him questions. At one time, he was weakly accused of being a Nazi just because his father's ancestry could be traced back to Germany. Meanwhile, he has lived in New Zealand all his life. A funny accusation to Alec at the time. They said they could make life very uncomfortable for me if I was uncooperative. However, there didn't appear to be anything they could do to me at that stage, so I said, "Thanks very much for the friendly advice," and shut the door in their faces. That was another grave mistake on my part. And it was. All of a sudden, Alec's life seems to be going from one bad experience to the other, all set up by these institutions. Alec had been a motor vehicle dealer, at least until 1987, until the stock market crash no longer made that a viable trade in New Zealand. Even though he was no longer a licensed motor vehicle dealer per se, he would still buy and sell the odd car privately. One day he met a gentleman at a well-known car auction in Auckland City. He said his name was Jeff Wright and that he had access to cheap Japanese secondhand imported cars, which were wholesale stock that was not required or was surplus to dealer needs, and he was looking to sell it. There was no reason for Alec to doubt what Jeff said, and after some investigation on Alec's end, decided Jeff was telling the truth, so he entered into a business with Jeff. They worked together for 9 months. Jeff would ring Alec whenever he had a car that he thought he might be interested in buying. Sometimes he would buy them. Other times, if he didn't have the money, Alec would turn them down. Little did Alec know all this was a trap to set him up. Apparently, the cars Jeff had been supplying Alec were all stolen, or so it appeared to the court. There were 6 cars involved in this setup. The police got so enthusiastic about it all that they even tried to prosecute him for cars that were not stolen. But he
Wow.
was in trouble, which was perfect for the agencies. The agencies had done a fairly good job. They cunningly let me stew on things for quite some time before they visited me again. It was just as you would expect. Cooperate, and we will fix things up for you with the police. I was determined to ride their bluff to the end. Alec was still stubborn, and his case, which shouldn't last at most 6 months, took up to 2 years.
Wow.
With recurring court appearances, over 20 in total. These people were meticulous and seemed to be able to reach into every corner of my life. There was no doubt they had done this type of thing before, but to whom and for what reasons? How many before me had been subjected to the same fate? I was rapidly losing faith in every part of our so-called justice system. I knew it was just a game for them, but this was my life they were playing with. Alec was broke, his assets taken away. He didn't even have money to hire a lawyer. All these were just to make Alec talk about his interactions with the aliens. All that he learned, but for some reason, Alec said no to them. After 2 years of the case, he lost.
Wow.
I had to serve half of my 12-month sentence following the trial. What it meant, in fact, was plenty of time to reappraise my situation with regard to writing this story in all its detail. It was no longer a private affair. The world had a right to know. And that was what prompted him to write his book.
Wow.
So, even if this was all fiction and made up, why did the agency try so much to make him talk? This was before he published his book. The only logical argument was that they believed Alec's statement and wanted the information from him so badly. Heck, if they could kidnap him and take him to a black site, they'd probably do that. But does that mean Alec is telling the truth? Did he really meet aliens? The truth is, this sounds more like fiction than reality. Alec's claim that humans are related to aliens and that aliens are related to humans from the future and know how to move through time is interesting. The ETs Alec met are almost extinct because of choices their ancestors, people from Earth, made. So they regularly go back in time to change things for the better in the present so they can make their own lives better, which is amazing and similar to almost all sci-fi stories. On top of all that, Alec writes in his book about a relationship he had with a female alien that he says was out of this world beautiful, both in a physical and figurative sense.
And I it sort of froze when this thing sort of, if it had a face, was looking at me.
Like I said earlier, there were lengthy talks about reproduction, but that's not what makes me raise an eyebrow. It's this story.
I was actually walking a ley line. I was walking a dragon line to school, or intersecting one. And on this park, on that dragon line, was where just like a lightning strike, it'd be a flash of light would come in that park and would draw my attention to it. And the thing that was happening around me at the time, people would say, "Oh, well, how could you possibly go into a vortex or something without anyone seeing you?" Being a kid, you chase seagulls and that, when you're young. And in the park, because this was close to a harbour, an estuary, and there were seagulls in this park, and I used to chase them. And whenever that light in that park would glow, seagulls in the park would freeze. So there was some sort of a time interference pattern set up there where obviously my time wasn't altered, and the beings that came out of that light didn't alter their movement, but everything around me was obviously frozen. So I could only imagine that anybody outside of that perimeter of that vortex was probably, my time was probably 1,000 or 100,000 times quicker than theirs. So I should imagine that.
That interview is an hour long. The link to watch the whole thing is in the description below. Apparently, this wasn't the first time he had witnessed a UFO event. He had an experience as a child where he was the only one to see aliens. I mean, all of a sudden he remembers his encounters with aliens when he was a child. I don't know, it just sounds too fishy to me. And of course, to know more about this encounter, you had to wait and buy his third version of the book. The story he tells in that interview has a lot of holes. Why was he the only one who witnessed these aliens in the park? He claims the stuff was random and occurs rarely, but then again, in the same statement, talks about how the seagulls would freeze whenever the lights glow. He talks like this happens normally, or he has experienced this phenomenon more than once, and at the same, it was his first time. Didn't make sense at all.
Well, he was a kid.
Claims to have been prepped by the aliens when he was younger, trying to build a history of his life before his famous abduction, to create a narrative that he was predestined for that very event that happened in his life, like a prequel to a good movie.
I was being schooled from that age of 5, so you could sort of kind of tell there was something going to happen later on in my life which they were trying to prep me for, I guess. So even though you just accept these things as a 5-year-old, I just forgot about that stuff in later adult life. I mean...
Now, I am not saying with an accurate fact that aliens don't exist or rebutting the countless claims from others. The universe is too big to be the only one in it. But regarding Alec Newall's story,
you think he's
there
full
are
of
just
shit.
a lot of holes that raise my eyebrows. His actual abduction experience sounds riveting and real, considering the information shared in his book. But when you involve the experience he had as a child, an experience he claims to have forgotten, into the mix, the story starts to lose its hold and makes you wonder if he was actually abducted or he is just a good writer. Because I won't lie, the book is a good read, and even if you don't believe in his story of being abducted, the book itself makes a quite good fiction novel. Either way, I leave you with a word from Lord Admiral Hill Norton, former head of the British Ministry of Defence and chairman of the NATO Military Committee. There is a serious possibility that we are being visited and have been visited for many years by people from outer space, by other civilizations. Who they are, where they are from, and what they want should be the subject of rigorous scientific investigation and not be the subject of rubbishing by tabloid newspapers.
Agree.
So what do you think? Was he abducted or is he just a great writer?
I'd have to investigate it more. Please like, share, subscribe. We've had a great show tonight. Let's check the poll. 70% say yes, 30% say no. I believe there's life out there. I think there's good ones. I think there's bad ones. I think you could see them as angels and demons. I think the Bible refers to some of this shit. What do you guys think? Let's talk about it for a few minutes. It's a vast universe of nothingness. I don't think that's true, Kevin. I don't think we're here for nothing. I don't think we're here for nothing. I think we're here to learn lessons and evolve. I don't think it's over when we die. I think our body dies, we go on. Whether it's consciousness, I don't know what you call it, spirit. I think we move on. And I feel strongly about it. And I always have. No funny business. Never saw it. Please like, share, subscribe if you haven't. Yeah, it could be Efric. Could be. Could most definitely be. Maybe. But I find these topics interesting. And it was nice to do something without politics tonight. Yeah, I don't know when it became so bad yet. Tori Gay says, I think if we saw a real angel the way they are described, we would be scared and not know if it were an angel or a demon, except by feeling its power. I agree. I agree too. If you listen to how angels are explained in the Bible, they're frightening. You are fallen from birth. In the Bible, it says, I shall put enmity between you and the woman. I will bruise your heel, etc. When you're born. They take your blood and they place a sample in 4. Evening, Connie. I support Trump. Yes, I do. But we're not doing politics tonight. We're looking into aliens, UFOs. We looked into the government's involvement in them a little bit. We don't do just political stuff. We've been doing political stuff lately. I hope you guys had a good time last night at the troll show. Friday night troll shows from now on, where we just troll the fuck out of the chat. I laughed my ass off. My stomach hurt this morning. Not everything was a total troll, but I agree, Adam. I just believe there could be other alien life out there, possibly similar to us. I'm not sure about angels and demons, though. James says, different circles. This is satanic binding. God sent himself here so you may have knowledge. The correct knowledge. You must be born again. That's what he means. Thanks, Efric. Sometimes I don't have good vibes. When I talk politics, I hurt a lot of people's feelings. But I believe what I believe. We're all allowed to believe what we want. I just don't do the troll shit. Oh, you watched last night's show, Baby Yoda. It was fun. I'm still getting message that I'm an asshole. All I do on Friday nights is, from now on, we're going to have fun and just troll people. I'll act like it's a political show or some wild shit and just troll the fuck out of people to get back at people that fuck with me all week long. That's the new fucking plan. It was pretty funny. We drink some beers and shit, chill out. Tori says, I have 7 alien tattoos, and I think I've been fascinated by them my entire life. I'm 48. She thinks there's good ones and bad ones as well. Connie, it was funny. I thought we did a pretty good job, me and my boy Justin. Thank you, Justin, for coming. I haven't seen Justin in a long time, up until recently. Yeah, a little taste of their own medicine. They were fucking losing it, Baby Yoda. If you get some time, go back and watch some of it. But I think we still got to have fun and chill out. Even though I think Trump needs to be president, I think it's important we have fun too. Because doing the political talks get heavy. They suck the energy out of me, man. They get tiring. I got to keep it real. And I do research on this shit. I just don't go into stuff blindly. So I look into things before I do it. Not 1,000%, but for the most part, I do some research before I do things. So it takes energy to do it. It takes time. It's not I just sign on a computer and go fucking nuts. What do you guys want to look into tomorrow night? Maybe we'll look into something different tomorrow night. Do you guys want to do politics? Do you want to look at something else? I get it, Tori. I hear you. Richard says Bigfoot. We could do Bigfoot. There's a lot of shit on Bigfoot. Giants. Giant sounds fun. Bigfoot sounds fun. That's why I did my show the way I did it. When I started my YouTube, you could talk about anything in the world. I don't want to be stuck in a box. That was my biggest thing. I didn't want to. Everyone says, oh, you got to pick a genre. You can only talk about so many things. I don't believe that shit. And I'm going to prove it wrong. You could talk about anything. You could talk about how you color fucking dots the right way. But maybe we'll look into giants of Bigfoot tomorrow. Maybe I'll put a poll up. Good job, Connie. Proud of you. We'll be taking our walk tomorrow morning. We can look into skinwalkers a bit. The thing about skinwalkers is, in my belief, the Native Americans, I think it's the Navajo and someone else, are the only two that talk about skinwalkers. I don't think it's this big thing where they're everywhere. I think it's only certain tribes, because I've looked a lot into skinwalkers. So I'd have to do more research on it. I don't want to talk about skinwalkers in not the right way. Skinwalkers aren't really, they're a shapeshifter in a way, but you got to look into it. It's more, if you look into the Navajo version, that's the version I tend to believe. I don't think every fucking thing's a skinwalker. They call them the Anagloshi. That's awesome, Connie. You keep it up. They change into animals. No, I don't believe in that, Thanos. I think something fucked with us. I think it was the angels. That what we think are angels. Mothman, I know a little bit about. We could look into Mothman too. Or we could do a cryptid show. Wolf, I know a little bit about Wolfman. Wolfman's pretty crazy. Shape-shifting. We could look into all that stuff. We'll look into something different tomorrow then. We won't do politics until Monday. Do something different. I'll make the decision tomorrow. Maybe I'll ask some people in the morning. Tomorrow morning we'll be taking our walk at some point. Probably around 8 o'clock or so. Empty, thank you for coming again. The regulars, thank you for coming again. Anyone else have any ideas of something they might want to talk? Yeah, I think that's what I'm going to do, Jet. 70% to 30% people say yes. 70% of people say yes to aliens. Thanks, Empty. We'll be back at the walk-in tomorrow. Please like, share, subscribe if you guys haven't. I love you guys. I appreciate all the support. The Rougarou, that's in Louisiana. I think it's similar to Chupacabra, kinda, if I'm not mistaken. But I know a little bit of a lot of this shit. I never have taken super deep dives in things, and I think it's fun to do with you guys. Admiral Byrd would be really fun. Adam Anderson. We might do Admiral Byrd. Antarctica is a fucking cool one. Glad we found you, Tori. So we're gonna call it a night. It's getting late. I want to get some sleep. We were up late last night partying and trolling the internet. Thank you guys so much. Tom Howe, I love you. I still haven't gotten your letter. Hopefully it comes. We'll figure something to look into. Maybe it'll be a surprise. Admiral Byrd's pretty awesome. In Antarctica. I know a little bit about the Black Pyramid in Alaska. The one that's underground. I don't know a ton. I watched a thing on it the other day, actually. It's funny you bring it up. But please like, share, subscribe. I love you guys. Have a good night. Be safe. Say your prayers. Love each other. Don't take no one's shit. I love you guys. Thank you so much for the support. We'll catch you in the morning. Any of you guys gotta lose weight? Wake up in the morning. Come take a walk with me. Love you guys. Good night. Sweet dreams.